What's going on, everybody? Today, I have a very clear message to the GOP, the Trump administration, GOP strategists, people that disagree with me on the war. And then, of course, for people who agree with me, this will be like a therapeutic session that we'll all have together. But especially to people who disagree, there's a lot of division in our party, in the country, etc. But I want to be super, super clear about what's going on because obviously you have the war, obviously you have what's going on in America, but really it's the gaslighting coming from the Trump administration, his supporters, and that side, which is dwindling like every single day. And the more it dwindles, the more they try to blame like Tucker Carlson or people that are posting things on the internet that disagree with certain things. And I think even like I saw Dan Scavino posted, we see you posting these things. And then a day later, they went after Alex Jones and Candace Owens, etc. And there's just something they're profoundly missing. Of course, once again, to the people who agree with me, this will be just a normal podcast. It's like, yeah, we're just talking, we're just being honest. That's what we do here. But I really want to get the message, and I'm going to try to be as friendly and respectful as possible. But to the people that disagree, and I'm talking to specifically, like, I know there's people who work for the Trump administration. Their entire job is to try to win the midterms, which Republicans are absolutely going to lose at this rate. And it's so obvious the mistakes they're making, but they just don't see it. And the more they fall and the more they look insane, the more they just blame everybody else instead of sharing some accountability with the Trump administration and Trump himself. So we're going to talk about that. I'll briefly talk about Trump blaspheming Jesus Christ yesterday on Orthodox Easter and, beefing with the Pope, which is offensive to a lot of Catholics, I'm sure. But I don't think personally that's nearly as bad as the picture he posted and deleted today after the scrutiny. So we'll talk about that a little bit and then just really get into what's going on. And I think there's really nothing, of course, there's always debate to be had, but this isn't just my opinion today of what I think, etc., but really just strategy and game theory of just how bad the Trump administration is doing and what they need to hear. So hopefully somebody from their team is listening. If not, we'll talk amongst ourselves. Dreamer podcast starts now. Give me a thumbs up if everything looks and sounds good. Appreciate y'all.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? We got Karen. Appreciate you, Karen. Appreciate you, Liz. We have someone said, I knew you were a simp for Candy Owens. I mean, I posted a video of a 2023 interview where I talked to Candace Owens about Thomas Massey and seems to be triggering a lot of people. Listen, Candace is a social media influencer slash, I would say, really popular podcast. I don't know what she calls herself, but she's a really popular figure in America. You don't have to like her, agree with everything she says. I haven't even watched her show recently, but Thomas Massey is the best congressman in America. He's got a great voting record. He votes with the GOP 90+% of the time. And the only time Thomas Massey doesn't seem to vote with the GOP is if they're sending money to Ukraine or Israel, if they're spending trillion-dollar bills at Biden levels, and he's against spying on American citizens without a warrant. So, I don't know. You can get as triggered as you want over me talking to Candace like 3 years ago, but it's like it is what it is. I don't know if Trump tricked people into thinking Thomas Massey's bad, but he's literally the best congressman we have. I'm going to play this quick video because I just want to start on this note. I thought about it this morning and tried to keep it simple. Here's Trump blaspheming Jesus Christ. It's really weird. He deleted it, and I don't know. I think this is just a sign. Even I appreciate them deleting it, but just the fact that him or Dan Scavino or some little goblin moron around him that posts for him, I don't know if he does this or approves of it, but if it's him or whoever's doing it, like just they're so insulated around yes men and butt sniffers and cat turds and Gunther Eaglemans and people who pay Trump money to do things for Israel and pharmaceutical lobbies and glyphosate lobbyists. Like they're so surrounded by yes, sir, because everybody knows it's easy to flatter Trump to get what you want, that the fact that they actually thought that this was okay or normal to post, they would never do this to Jews or Judaism. Of course, Trump would have to fly to Europe and go on a Ben Shapiro apology tour if he did that to them. But he just openly feels so comfortable blaspheming and mocking not just Jesus Christ himself, but also going at the leader of the Catholic Church on Orthodox Easter. I don't mind if you disagree with the Pope. Personally, I'm not Catholic, but to do that on Easter, to bash him for being anti-war, and then to blaspheme and put yourself in the face of Jesus Christ. Like I either Trump is surrounded by the biggest idiots, or I think he's actually demonically possessed and trying to just like show his audience, like, run away from me, stop believing in me, like I'm demented, I'm a demented demon. But for some reason, some people still don't get it. So here's that video. Then I'm going to get into a lot more in-depth stuff and just give my message to the GOP strategists who want our votes in the midterms. Like, you're not getting my vote. I mean, maybe you can convince me. You have like 5-6 months to work for me, not for your donors. But yeah, here's that video. I got a lot to say. Last night, President Trump posted this sacrilegious picture of himself inserted as Jesus Christ, in which he apparently took this original blasphemous picture and changed one of the fallen soldiers to either some sort of demon, or it looks like Baphomet to me. And he did this on Greek Orthodox Easter after beefing with the Pope, because the Pope is anti-war. If this was Biden, we'd all be on the same page, of course. But with Trump, try to notice who's defending this, even though they never would for literally any other person in Washington. Now, I didn't think much of it at the time, but it is true that the second term Trump did not place his hand on the Bible. First term Trump did. And he has no problem bashing Muslims. He has no problem blaspheming and mocking Christians and Catholics. We all know which group that Trump won't criticize, because he's too busy working for them, taking their donor money, and passing speech rules and anti-boycott laws into America for them. So on Air Force One recently, Trump admitted that he was not heaven-bound.
Ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
And here's what I'll say to people who don't understand why Trump is losing hundreds of millions of people, and most people aren't buying the narrative of this war. Of course, the last 20-30 years of wars plays into that. Everybody remembers Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. And our government now admits that those were a lie, but they're trying to tell us that this one isn't, okay?
This is the same Jeffrey Goldberg who infamously lied about weapons of mass destruction to get us into the Iraq war, which cost trillions of dollars and thousands of American soldiers.
But if you really want to sell us on the war, you have to tell Trump to stop acting like a demented, possessed demon, because it's hard to sell Christians. We lied to you the last 10 wars, but this one's totally the truth, while the President of the United States is openly blaspheming and mocking Christians and Catholics. It's not Tucker Carlson's fault, who runs a podcast and challenges Trump. Maybe it's time to shift some accountability to Mr. Operation Warp Speed. And that's what this live stream is really about. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much. He deleted the post, but just the fact that he and his team thought it was okay to insert Trump's face into Jesus Christ and just like mock him like that, it's really just bizarre. But someone said, "Are you okay?" on Facebook. I'm glad people that don't agree with me are listening, because that's really what I want for this live stream. Of course, I'm not trying to like pander to people that don't like me. I appreciate the people that do and want to listen to me and who agree with me, but this is for Republicans. This is for conservatives. This is for Christians. This is for Trump strategists and Trump supporters and Trump himself, his administration, to explain to them, like, you could tout whatever fake CNN poll that he keeps saying, I'm 100% popular in MAGA. Meanwhile, on social media, I'm just seeing so many people say, I voted for him 3 times. He disgusts me. I don't think I'm ever going to vote again. Like, you want to win the midterms. And the most accurate, obviously, like, polling isn't necessarily accurate, but the most accurate polling that we have is the prediction markets and the betting odds. And the betting odds went from 80-20 Republicans to win the Senate to now Democrats are a slight favorites, and they're a huge favorite in the House. So the Republicans might get swept in the midterms, and everyone knows this. It's not like this is something that only I know. Trump knows this, his team knows this, but for some reason they're trying to gaslight everybody and do this like Hillary Clinton strategy of like, no, we're so popular, and then they're hoping it translates into reality. He's making the same mistakes Hillary made in 2016, but in general, like, he is losing a lot of popularity, and I'm here to explain why. And like I said, it's going to be therapeutic to those who agree with me, who believe this and just like are watching everybody act insane, and to those who don't. Just all I'm asking is to consider it, right? I'm going to read a quick post that I found of Trump when he was running last year, or I guess it was 2024 now. Time flies, 2 years ago. He said this on Twitter. He said, "We are building the biggest and broadest coalition in American political history. This includes record breaking numbers of Arab and Muslim voters in Michigan who want peace. They know Kamala and her warmonger cabinet will invade the Middle East, get millions of Muslims killed, and start World War III. Vote Trump and bring back peace." So, in this post, I mean, it's not my opinion. This is not like me just making stuff up. Trump's campaign to people was, I will not invade the Middle East. I won't get millions of Muslims killed. I won't start World War III. And Kamala will invade the Middle East. She'll start the war with Iran. And I want Arabs and Muslims to know that I'm the guy that's not going to start the wars. And he actually won in Arab parts of Michigan. He won in Democrat districts because they saw Joe Biden funding the Zionist state of Israel as they slaughtered Palestinians and fought a war. And a lot of people, not just that are Muslims, but just Democrats in general and anti-war Republicans, they didn't vote for Kamala or Joe. I think like tens of millions of younger Democrats stayed home because they didn't want to vote for Joe Biden, who was funding Israel against Palestine. And Trump knew that. And that's one of the many reasons Trump won the election. But he campaigned on like, hey, I'm your guy. Trust me. Now, it's not even that he completely did a 180, which he did, but his hubris and his arrogance and honestly just his wickedness of how he operates and how he treats people. Like, if you want to be a big tent and you're like, listen, we got to win an election, right? I get that they all lie during an election, but we really need RFK Jr. to clean up the food supply. So let's get him in and get all those people. Let's get the Muslims. Let's get the Christians. Let's get the anti-war crowd, the libertarians, the independents, all of which Trump did. And then after the election, excuse my language, and I'm sorry to curse, but he's just like, fuck you guys. Like, that's literally the vibe that he's giving. He's like, come on, I need you to win the election. Everybody come with me. We're going to stop the wars. We're going to stop the Biden spending. We're going to do Doge. We're going to clean the food supply. And after the election, he's like, fuck you. We're giving glyphosate immunity shields. Fuck you guys. And fuck you if you disagree with me. Fuck the anti-war crowd. He says, F Muslims, F Christians. He does. It's like, that's the message that he's giving to everybody now. And if I just sit here and say, listen, I don't want glyphosate in my food supply for the next 50 years. I would like a plan to wean off of it, not a glyphosate immunity shield, which is going to make sure that they could do even more spraying and never get held accountable in court. Like, it's completely what I disagree with. There's no de-stressing valve in the Trump administration, because when they're on the campaign trail, they're like, yeah, we'll listen to you. We'll do what you want to do. And then after the election, they're like, fuck you guys. If you don't agree with everything that Trump does, he's going to blaspheme Jesus Christ. He's going to say Allah Akbar, whatever he said on Easter. He's going to have the same foreign policy as Lord Rothschild, Ben Shapiro, Lindsey Graham, and Mark Levin. He's going to post Mark Levin more than anybody on True Social. He's going to freak out at Alex Jones, who supported him and defended him at the behest or at the expense of his reputation. Alex lost a lot of his reputation over the last couple of years. And the reason was he defended Trump too much. Honestly, he was like, but now not that I like forgive, I forgive Alex Jones, but not that I forget what he did and I'm going to trust him completely. But I understand why. Like, anybody close to Trump, all you have to do is tell the truth one time and he hates you. Marjorie Taylor Greene ran her out of Congress. Thomas Massey, he's trying to destroy his political career, even though he's the best congressman we have. Alex Jones defended Trump for 10 years. And the second he turns against Trump on like a couple topics, Trump, says, screw you. Like, I hope you lose everything and I hope you go bankrupt. Obviously Alex said some things outside of defending Trump, but Alex pretty much was getting attacked because he was defending Trump. If Alex Jones wasn't a vicious Trump supporter, I don't think the media would have cared that much about his conspiracy theories, because there's conspiracy theories all over the internet and they waited years to then go and do legal warfare with them. So it's like, literally, Alex Jones got banned off of social media and went bankrupt supporting Trump. And then Trump's like, I hope you do go bankrupt. Like, that's how he thanks Alex Jones for all the support. Tucker Carlson won't say anything bad about Trump. He still says to this day, I like Trump. He's a nice guy. I like him. I wish him well. And Trump goes after him. He goes after Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens. Trump is essentially working for his Israeli donors and handlers, and he's trying to badmouth every reporter that won't work for Israel and the Israel lobby. He's trying to run every Republican out of Congress who won't take AIPAC money and who won't work for Israel. And that's who he is now. He's an inversion. I've talked about this a lot, but he's the inversion of who he pretended to be. He said, I want to drain the swamp. Now he is the swamp. He fills the swamp up. He's endorsing Lindsey Graham. He defends the swamp and makes sure that they stay there. And then he's attacking anybody who's not the swamp, like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who actually try to do some anti-swamp things. Trump is like a demented demon. He's like evil. And he's so evil that his supporters who defend him, I'm not going to say they're evil because it's not true necessarily, but he's twisting their brains and making them believe down is up, left is right. Like if Trump does vaccine socialism, instead of reading the bill and being like, wow, oh yeah, no, this is like socialist. This is helping the pharmaceutical industry. This is the reason they got so much power and money to shove it down our throats. They're like, maybe it's a secret plan to save the world. You know, when he endorsed Lindsey Graham, the number one comment I got on my Facebook page was, maybe it's a secret plan to actually kick him out of Congress. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, people are losing their mind. I've seen this for years, but just to see it still happening, I was like, people are legitimately becoming demented, demonic, inverted reality over Trump because they can't just be like, you know what? I think he probably took too much donor money and now he works for the same donors as Lindsey Graham. Or even like some people did say this, although I disagree. They're like, you know, Lindsey Graham agrees with him, so he likes Lindsey Graham. Even that, even though I don't like Lindsey Graham and I don't think that's an excuse, at least that makes more sense of like, then no, Trump did this because he's trying to fight Lindsey Graham. Oh, yeah. And he worked with Bill Gates and hired Bill Gates for a White House position, even though Bill Gates declined his first term, because he just really wants to fight Bill Gates. You know, he gave the vaccine industry a bunch of socialist money to really fight them. He endorses Lindsey Graham to fight Lindsey Graham. He does the Rothschild foreign policy because he's secretly battling the Rothschilds. He posts Mark Levin every day on his social media page because he really doesn't like Mark Levin. You know, his press secretary is posting Ben Shapiro now because they really don't like Ben Shapiro. You know, Trump's fighting George Soros by hiring a Soros protege who worked for Soros Fund Management to run our treasury named Scott Bessent. Oh, yeah, he's fighting Soros by hiring his protege. Oh, he's tricking Bill Gates by hiring Doug Burgum, who was funded by Bill Gates and oversaw and picked the attorney general that gave Bill Gates a controversial decision to buy up a bunch of farmland in Dakota. Oh, it's like, no, Trump's just working for them. It's like, I could respect somebody that's like, honestly, I respect somebody that's like, you know what? Trump is a con artist, but he's like slightly better than Kamala. It's like, yeah, it's not the best excuse, but yes, maybe, probably, right? Like that makes more sense to me. I can't fathom the person that literally just hallucinates. It's like they're like in a loony bin. It's like, why does Trump like Lindsey Graham? He likes Lindsey Graham because he doesn't like Lindsey Graham. It's like, dude, that's what's left of Trump's fan base. I'm going to talk more to the GOP strategists and Trump and his administration in a second, but let me just play this clip of the Lindsey Graham stuff because I really want to show people. Let me see. Is this it? Yeah, I'll post this real quick. I really thought about it. It made it simple and short. I posted it on my Facebook page and my Instagram. But hopefully you guys like these short videos as long as my long form. But this is like, the condensed version of like people are losing their minds over Trump and they can't bring themselves to question one thing that he does, which means, and I don't say this lightly, like, oh, you voted for Trump, you're in a cult. Yeah, no, the left said that for years, even though people weren't in a cult. They just liked him more than Obama and Hillary, which is totally fine. But actually, some people are in a cult and they've made it a religion where I think there's a reason that Trump's inserting his head in Jesus, because all the normal people that aren't completely brainwashed by the demented demon Donald Trump, they've left the MAGA movement. They're like, maybe I'll vote for him, maybe I won't, but I don't like the guy or trust the guy, right? But he might be better than the left. Fair. But the ones that are still worshiping him, it is a religion. It's like, I don't want to believe he ever does something that I wouldn't do. So now I'm going to say that he's doing something I wouldn't do because he secretly wants to do what I want to do. Like it's like Trump is God and you can't question Trump. He's never done anything. Like he took $250 million from Miriam Adelson and turned into Lindsey Graham. to secretly fight Lindsey Graham. Like I legitimately think it's becoming like a demonic religion / mental illness for people. And I don't say that lightly, but if you can't just admit that Trump's selling out a little bit, and maybe you agree with him on 70% of stuff, or you like his domestic policy and some of maybe even like his foreign policy, like it's okay to disagree. It's okay to think we need to like beat up Iran and turn Beijing into San Francisco in order to be like happy again in America. I mean, I obviously don't agree, but I understand. I have friends that have different foreign and domestic. That it makes sense, but to lie to yourself and just create like literal fan fiction, I think people like belong in a loony bin at a certain point. Here's my Lindsey Graham video real quick. So Trump just recently endorsed Lindsey Graham, who's one of the most sold out, corrupt, swampy Republicans left in the GOP. He's so profoundly unpopular that he even gets booed at Trump rallies when Trump tries to bring him out and endorse him.
Welcome to Pickens. Welcome to Pickens County.
Most of MAGA agrees with me on this topic. I know there's a lot of division and people don't see eye to eye in our party and in our country. I get it. So I genuinely wanted to ask my audience who disagrees with me, what excuse do you make for Donald Trump endorsing Lindsey Graham if you still think he's draining the swamp while filling up the swamp? And the number one answer that I got was people think he's playing five-dimensional chess and that Trump is secretly endorsing Lindsey Graham in order to get Lindsey Graham out of Congress. This is equivalent to Trump taking a leak in the face of his supporters and them saying he didn't do that to be rude or condescending. He did that because it might be secret yellow juice that we can bathe in and then we'll become superheroes. Like, it's that level of fan fiction and delusion where grown adults can't just say, you know what, I like Trump more than Biden and Kamala. He closed the border. He's still better than a lot of people, but he's kind of selling out on that topic. I could respect that because it's logical and reasonable. But most logical and reasonable people tend to like politicians like Thomas Massie better than Lindsey Graham and Trump because his voting records actually reflect conservative values and pro-America values. And now I guess Trump's fan base is, no offense, I voted for him twice and I'm more conservative fiscally and socially than Trump, so stop calling me a liberal when I disagree with him. Trump's fan base is left of like delusional people who have to create weird, hallucinogenic fan fiction to lie to themselves pathologically in order to try to justify Trump doing something that they disagree with. It's far weirder than just admitting they don't like it. Trump isn't endorsing Lindsey Graham as a secret con move to kick him out of Congress. He's doing it because he gets along with Lindsey Graham. He defends Bill Clinton from Epstein scrutiny. He takes meetings with Bill Gates and offers him positions. He hired Soros's protege who used to work for Soros Fund Management to run our treasury. He picked a guy funded by Bill Gates when he was governor to run the Secretary of Interior and be in charge of a lot of the land in America. But Trump's average excuse maker now is like a cat turd / Gunther Eagleman archetype where they either just lie to themselves on loop or, like a lot of people on my Facebook page, they just yell Soros, Soros without realizing that Trump is the one that's hiring people connected to George Soros, not the people pointing it out who don't take money from the Israel lobby, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, who actually believe what Trump campaigned on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, it's funny on my like Facebook page when people are like, "Oh, you're paid by Soros for criticizing Trump." It's like, I'm not paid by Soros. I don't like George Soros, and Trump hired a Soros protege who was the, a head figure at Soros Fund Management to run the treasury. So it's like, if you're so upset with George Soros, which you could be and should be, I guess, why not get mad? Like, what if if I was president and I hired a Soros Fund Management protege to run the money? Wouldn't you be like, wow, Anomaly's working for George Soros? Like, at that point, you should say that, because if I were the president who hired somebody that high of a position at Soros Fund Management, you should be a little skeptical. But when Trump does it, it doesn't matter. There's a reason I told people this, and this aged so well, but I told people, I don't trust or like DeSantis or Trump. I think they're both kind of like sellouts. But I did think that DeSantis handled COVID better than Trump did. And I also think that people don't like DeSantis as much. And I told people I'd rather DeSantis win the primary than Trump, because people don't make excuses for DeSantis. Like if he hired a Soros guy, everyone would be like, look, he's working for Soros. But when Trump does it, it like doesn't matter. Nothing matters to the religion of people that literally just create fan fiction in their head in order to make an excuse for it. So, back to, I think, sorry, my hair's getting a little messed up, but back to, I think, like, what is bothering me so much about the Trump administration. They're losing all the top podcasts. We've talked about it recently. They've lost Theo Vaughn completely. Joe Rogan doesn't give them good PR anymore. Sean Ryan despises them. Tucker Carlson says that Trump is working for Israel and he's a slave, basically. And all these people helped Trump get elected. So it's like, this is the new, I would say, talking point from people in the inner Trump circle. It's like, Candace Owens went crazy. Tucker Carlson went crazy. Megyn Kelly went crazy. Anomaly went crazy, and he works for Soros, even though he doesn't. And Trump hires Soros people, and nobody seems to notice. And Trump literally has meetings with Bill Gates and works with them, but nobody seems to notice that either. Joe Rogan went crazy. Sean Ryan went crazy. Like every podcast that helped you win the election went crazy. Millions of people that voted for you 3 times, they're just bad people. And it's just everybody's fault except for Trump's and their administration. Let me just walk by point by point of all these things that are making people walk away from Trump. And then the Trump administration, the strategists, et cetera, can decide, do you want to get blown out these midterms, or do you want to pivot and try to convince people to vote for you again? Although nobody should trust you, because if you're going to just do it to pretend, then screw you guys. But in general, it's like, okay, I could probably make a whole video of every time Trump said that Kamala is going to start the war, Kamala is going to invade Iran, Kamala is going to invade the Middle East, Kamala is going to waste more money in the Middle East, Trump is the peace president, Trump won't hurt Muslims, Trump is the nice guy. Like, I could probably make a whole video of 50 times that Trump said that, either in person, on his social media, or in his campaign. It's still on his campaign website. Michael Tracy, I mean, he does some good work and he does some weird work, but Michael Tracy posted where it was on Trump's campaign website. It said, like, securing the, like we don't want to do anything in the Middle East because it's just going to waste our money and resources and drive up energy prices and all the things that are happening now. Trump literally campaigned against the opposite. So if you're going to do all of these things, listen, I understand it's complex. I'm going to be very compassionate and even more thoughtful than I normally am this time. I'm going to give, the other side their credit or whatever. It's like, I understand the war with Iran is complex, and there's 50 years of them not liking America and our allies, and, China and Russia and BRICS. I understand all that, but, you're not selling it really well. Let me give you an example. If this, and I'm not saying it's over that, because I do think this war's for Israel, but let's just say this is for us, right? It really benefits us. And let's say we need it in order to keep our petrodollar afloat. I'd rather you just tell me that, because some people might not react well, but I don't want to be poor. Obviously, I don't want to do evil things just to be rich. But, if it were like, listen, our petrodollar's failing and we need to make sure that countries use the petrodollar, or else we're going to be a third world country and everybody's going to be poor. All right. I mean, that's fair. I don't want to be poor, but maybe I'll support this war. I'll think about it a lot more than I am now. But they're not saying that. In fact, they might be damaging the petrodollar by destroying their relationships with so many countries. But time will tell whether they're hurting or helping the petrodollar. But they're not saying that. They're not saying this is, really beneficial to you in that way. They're saying, well, it was this and it was that. And, at first they tried to say that it was this revolution in Iran. And still in my comment sections, people will say, dude, how could you support them killing 40,000 of their own people? First of all, do you actually believe that? Like, we're about to pull out of Syria and they're like, Bashar al-Assad just attacked his own people. Yeah, as soon as we're going to leave him alone forever, and his life is going to be saved, and he's going to get to be the president. And then he just miraculously attacks his own people, knowing that it's going to make us fight him again. Did you ever consider they're just lying about that? Or did you ever consider maybe they're doing covert regime change attempts? Like, they're never going to admit it, but in Ukraine, they did a covert regime change attempt through a revolution. They like to fund revolutions. And in fact, in Iran, Trump admitted he gave a bunch of weapons to the Kurds and then they kept them, in which Trump was trying to create a non-organic revolution, an uprising of people overthrowing the government of Iran. I'm not saying you can't support that, but don't gaslight me and act like you think that Trump is just trying to bring OnlyFans accounts, McDonald's, sodomy, pornography, liberalism, usury, banking loans, and freaking homosexuality and feminism to Iran because he just really cares about the people there because they're killing their own people. It's like, dude, that's not why we're going there. But now it changes to this and changes to that. So, first of all, you campaigned against it. Now you're doing a really poor job of selling the war. And I can't think of a worse strategy personally, especially to Christians or anybody with a soul, or to be honest, any God fearing person of any religion that takes God seriously. I can't think of a worse way to sell this war where it's like, okay, I'm going to go blockade the Strait of Hormuz and I'm going to escalate the war, or at least like not back down to Iran. Fair, right? We're going to be reasonable today. Fair, completely fair. You're fighting Iran. You're going to do this blockade. You think it makes sense. Okay. So your way of selling it to me is by beefing with the Pope on Orthodox Easter because he doesn't believe in war, nor really should he, but he's just like a figure of the world. He's not going to stop the war. He's just going to sit there and say his opinion. You don't need to beef with him on Easter. You could beef with him a different time over immigration. That's fine. So he does that, which is like super weird. But to be honest, it didn't bother me that much. Maybe not as much as Catholics. But then he posts himself blaspheming Jesus Christ. So it's like now there's billions of Christians in the world and billions of Muslims in the world. Not that you have to please everybody, but you're already blaspheming Muslims. You're showing that you have absolutely no respect for them whatsoever. You're mocking them on Easter. Okay. As a Christian, and maybe you do or don't care, but Christians probably overlook that. It's like, whatever, it's not my religion, doesn't matter, not my people. But then he does it to Christians right before he's going to do the blockade. Like it would be like Trump and Elon Musk dressing up as Satan and dressing up as Baphomet and being like, hey guys, we're going to do a press conference and tell you about why this war in Iran is for you. Do you get what I'm saying? Even if you disagree with my foreign policy, do people not understand in the Trump administration that this is literally one of the craziest ways to sell a war? Like doing evil, demented, blasphemous stuff and being like, but no, we're doing this for the good guys. We're just showing you that we're the bad guys, but we're doing this for the good. It's like now I bet millions of Christians who are giving Trump grace and just ignoring it or looking at it and being like, dude, is Trump like the Antichrist? Like, what is wrong with this guy? Like something's wrong. Is he old? Does he have bad social media managers? Is he losing it? Is he going insane? Like they just woke up tens of millions of people who weren't paying attention. And now they are like, this is maybe you're purposely trying to lose, which I've also considered because I do think the uniparty is very similar. Even something with like Soros, because like that I don't want to oversimplify, aka get sued by one of these people, but hypothetically, etc. It's like you can vote for somebody on the left, right? Sometimes they're backed by left-wing organizations like a George Soros, etc. Sometimes they're not, but you can either vote for like these left-wing people that nobody likes and everybody knows are phony, like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, or you could vote for, Donald Trump, who takes Miriam Adelson money and talks to Netanyahu all the time. It's like Netanyahu or Soros. It's like, this is like the big election, right? So I know that Soros is not like, doesn't agree with Israel on everything or any like that. But what I did wonder, and I just used AI as a search tool, I was like, George Soros, he calls for mass migration to Europe. He's one of like the biggest pushers of mass immigration and demographic shifts into Europe. And then I wondered, I'm like, has he ever pushed that hard in Israel since he's so into like changing the demographics of Europe and destroying, civilizations that are lasted thousands of years, or at least demographically shifting them over time, where I believe that it will completely change the country. No, he really doesn't do that in Israel. It's kind of weird, isn't it, that he does that in Europe? And, it's like, vote for this guy or vote for this guy. They're like totally fighting each other. It's like, maybe they don't like each other, or maybe it's a false paradigm where it's just like this theater where you kind of lose either way. But I just find it fascinating that he's not as obsessed with mass migration into Israel as he is with so many other countries. Kind of weird, kind of interesting. But, it's like, that's the election, right? So you're selling the war by Trump blaspheming Jesus Christ. Now everybody's suspicious about it. You're gaslighting people who say what you said last year on the campaign trail and just having no humility with it. If I were trying to sell the war for the Trump administration, I'd be like, listen, I understand why, like I understand why you guys are upset because we pretty much campaigned on the opposite. I understand why you guys are concerned because gas prices are rising. I understand that you're not seeing like cheaper stuff in this country yet, but just wait, we're working on it. Do you see what I'm doing? That would make more sense to me than what they're doing. For a year straight, even before the war, Trump was just gaslighting about the economy because everything to him is strategy and he doesn't have that authenticity anymore. Where when he's out of office, everyone's going to do what he's like. It's so bad. The prices are so bad. And the second he gets into office, there is no drastic shift in prices. Everybody in America knows it's like rent is higher, gas is higher, nobody's paying you more. They're laying off people with AI. Like people are, ever since COVID and the inflation hit, everybody's building crappier than they used to. Everybody's losing money. Everybody's on a budget. So it's not to blame Donald Trump, although him and Biden are directly responsible because of how much money they printed during COVID. And if Republicans wanted a leader that isn't responsible for that, they should have voted for Ron DeSantis because he could have said, I'm not responsible for the inflation. But Trump actually is responsible for the inflation because Trump started it. And then Biden finished it during COVID. And it started in probably 1913, but that was a drastic addition to the inflation. So, like, I'm just being real. Nothing is cheaper. Maybe eggs are a little bit cheaper, whatever. Gas was cheaper for 5 seconds. But the average American, the middle class American, maybe the upper middle class American, the lower middle class American, the average worker, no one's feeling this golden age, right? It's not a goal. Like, I like America. I love this country. I'm grateful. I try to live optimistically and I don't like to think of the negatives. I know it might seem that way. I'm an honest news reporter, but in my personal life, I make the most of whatever I can do. We're not living in a golden age. The best, and I know this as well because I've seen all sides of like cities. I've lived in bad areas. I've taken the bus to work. I've taken the train to work. I lived in LA for 7 years. I didn't have a car when I lived in Los Angeles, so I actually had to walk on the streets, take the bus, take the train, etc. I know that when you're broke or when you're normal or when you're middle class, you're experiencing the worst of the decline of America because if you're rich, you don't have to experience the decline of America. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you have enough money, you can move to the places that are expensive, that are pricing everybody out, that are nice, clean, safe, and still have like, you know, demographics that a lot of places used to have 50 years ago. Like money solves a lot of those issues. Money's not the solution to every problem. And at the end of the day, like, there's more to life than just where you live. It's family, it's your mindset, etc. But I'm nowhere compared to Donald Trump in wealth, not even close. Like I don't even have a penny compared to Donald Trump. I have like 1/1000th of a penny. So when Donald Trump, a billionaire who lives in like golden like buildings, is like, there is no affordability issue. There is none because I'm president. But if the same exact affordability were there and Kamala was in office, Trump and the entire GOP would be screaming, look at the affordability issue. And I'm not saying this is hard for some people to comprehend, but most understand it. I'm not saying that the left wouldn't do this. Like everything I say about Trump isn't a defense of the left. It's like, yes, they suck also. But I thought of this the other day. Imagine if I were trying to get into a UFC fight and be healthy, and the left would like chop my fingers off, and the right would like kick my kneecaps and like try to tear my ACL or something. And I'm like, yo, both of those are like, they're like, but the goal is to get healthy for the fight. And I'm like, but you're both going to make it impossible for me to win a fight because you're both like destroying my body. And people are like, but they're going to cut your fingers off, but they're going to kick you in the knees. Yes, they're both going to do that. But there's no way I could win a fight if they're both doing that. That's America. It's like if our goal is to succeed and have a country for people's kids and grandkids and to be here in 50 years and to not live in a third world shithole, we can't just sit in for 40 years straight and be like, well, Biden did it. Well, Trump did it. I know. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Kamala Harris. And unlike Trump, I don't hire Soros proteges to run money. Trump does that. I don't work with Bill Gates. Trump does. You know what I'm saying? Trump's the liberal. Trump's the elitist. Trump's the establishment. Trump's the sellout, not me. And when you worship Donald Trump, you're living in inversion. You get convinced to be like, you know what the real problem is? Thomas Massie, not Elise Stefanik, not Lindsey Graham. It's Thomas Massie. Don't you get it? The Israel lobby controls Trump, and he just gets mad at anyone who won't sell out to Israel. And they do this in the media too. You don't notice that pattern? It's like if Thomas Massie were exactly the same, and he said, you know what? I don't care about the Epstein files anymore. And, I want to vote for Israeli foreign aid and I want to give them money. Trump would love Thomas Massie. It's literally about that. He doesn't vote for their speech laws and their foreign aid. But in general, it's like to see them just gaslight everybody. I get that you're not going to fix the economy in a year, even if you especially when you screwed it up when you were last in office, and so did Joe Biden. But it's like that's their messaging. It's either like they want to lose, which is absolutely plausible because I think they're fine with, you know, losing, and then they'll still get donor money. They're still making a fortune. Trump's kids sit on like drone company, boards and like prediction market gambling boards. Like his family's going to be fine. They don't really care whether they win or lose. But there's also the possibility that we're witnessing, and this is kind of more what I think it is, because I don't think the GOP purposely wants to lose. I think, especially Trump, like he could get impeached and stuff. I don't think he wants that. I just think we're witnessing like a mad, delusional, egotistical king. And it's like, any sort of story that you've ever read about somebody that is so profoundly selfish, so profoundly into money and fame and connections. And he's like he got all the money, he got all the fame, he's got all the power, but he's like a demented demon where he's mad at Thomas Massie, he's mad at Marjorie Taylor Greene, he's mad at Tucker Carlson. He's telling everybody there's no affordability issue. Like he's literally living in an inverted demonic reality, and he's twisting the brains of his followers into being like psychopaths. It's like it's not sustainable forever. It's going to fall apart at some point. And I think everybody around him doesn't want to question him because he's the type of guy that he doesn't want to be questioned. He doesn't want a true friend who says, yo, there's something on your face. He wants the friend who says, you look amazing, there's nothing on your face, you look perfect. That's just what Trump seems to want. So look at Alex Jones, defended him for 10 years, questions him for a week or two, Trump bashes him. Tucker Carlson walked on eggshells around Trump and still does for his entire career because he didn't want to piss Trump off because he likes Trump. Trump still turned on him. So now Trump's inner circle is filled with neocons, never Trumpers, Zionists, donors, Mark Levin types. And they figured out, when we used to fight Donald Trump, back in 2015 or whatever, it doesn't work. If you try to fight Trump, he'll fight you back. You have to flatter him. You're the greatest, Mr. And then once you flatter him, you get in and you could change and alter his mind, especially with money. I think Trump loves money like Mr. Krabs. So it's like the hubris of his administration to blaspheme Jesus, to say there's no affordability issue, to start the war they said they weren't going to start, to spend the money in the Middle East they said they weren't going to spend, and have absolutely no humility and compassion for the people that believe what they said a year ago. It's not just about doing these difficult things. Like maybe, and I don't believe this, but maybe, he needed to start the war because Iran was really mad at us or something, right? I don't personally believe that, but let's just say that that was true and everybody's right. It still would make sense for his administration to have humility when they're pushing forward with this unpopular war, like acting like they don't know why people don't trust this stuff. How many wars in the last 10 years? Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya. You could probably count 5 more. And here's the thing. It's not this fringe conspiracy Alex Jones opinion that all those wars were a lie. Like if only Alex Jones and Candace Owens, Candace, everybody's so afraid of, if only they were saying that all these wars were a lie, but everyone in the government was like, these wars were amazing. Then even though I don't agree, once again, it would make more sense. But Caroline Leavitt was on a stage like 3 months before the war started saying that the Afghanistan and Iraq wars were a lie and that something Goldberg lied us into a war with his media. Now Goldberg probably agrees with Donald Trump because he's doing the same thing. So it's like it's not just about doing the war or not doing the war. The wicked hubris of the Trump administration to not even understand why people might disagree. You campaigned on it. You said it a year ago. You should know. And then also, it's not a fringe theory that all of the wars of the past 20 years were a lie. So now you want us to believe that Bibi Netanyahu said that Iran was weeks away from a nuclear weapon for 30 years, and he was completely wrong about his timeline for 20, 30 years straight. But now he's right about the timeline. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Absolutely not. But let's just imagine, right? You want us to believe that Now was the time, even though he gaslit us on it for 30 years, trying to trick people into going to war. Okay. You want us to believe that every war of my lifetime was a lie, but this one's not. So it's like Shaquille O'Neal, like bricking, 15 free throws in a row. Let's just say he's doing a half court shot because it's harder. He's throwing up 15 half court shots. He hasn't even hit the rim or the backboard on one. He's so far away. But you're convincing me with 100% certainty that he's going to make the next half court shot. And if I don't believe so, I'm a really bad person that needs to go away. How in the world are you expecting your fan base to grow? Everybody cares about the Epstein stuff. And then Trump said, if you still want to push the Epstein stuff, then I don't even want you in my fan base. You're not MAGA. I mean, you can do that, but you're going to have a smaller, tighter circle that doesn't win elections, which you can do, right? This is my pitch to them. It's like, you can say fuck you to me, right? You could say fuck you to everybody. You could have Dan Bongino look like a demented pit bull, like screaming at everybody, after he left the deep state and now he's more mad at Tucker Carlson or whatever. You can do all of these things, but you can't expect, like, aren't you purposely trying to make your circle smaller and piss everybody off? Like, I feel like you can't have both. You could tell everybody F you. You could tell hundreds of millions of people you don't want them in your party. You can convince yourself that you're 100% popular in MAGA because CNN said so. You can tell the 4 of the 5 biggest podcasts in the world to F off, which is essentially telling all of their, listeners to F off. And here's the thing too. Charlie did a little, I mean, maybe I'll just play it real quick. I'm not going to play this whole thing, but Charlie did a little sit-in before he was assassinated with his like students and stuff. And he was trying to be like, if you guys call Tucker Carlson anti-Semitic, you're basically calling his audience anti-Semitic who listens to him. And he was like, that's a terrible idea. Charlie Kirk knew the GOP was making a huge mistake. Charlie Kirk was against the Iran war. Charlie Kirk was a pro-Israel person who understood what they were doing. And now he's not here anymore, but he understood this psychology of, if you're bashing everyone popular and their audience, then you're going to be left with nobody like that. You're going to lose. You're going to have a small circle of Mark Levins and cat turds. So Charlie and his students nailed it. And I remember watching that little like town hall session with his TPUSA people. And one of the kids was super well spoken who happened to be Jewish, I think, ethnically. And he understood it completely. He was like, yeah, that's crazy to call him anti-Semitic. Like it's okay to want people in America to be loyal to America. Like the kid like totally got it. But they always hide stuff like that because they want to, convince people that it's just hateful to think all those things. So, they're saying "f you" to the anti-war crowd. They're saying "f you" to the libertarians who wanted to, like stop all the money printed. They're saying "f you" to Tucker, "f you" to Candace, "f you" to Alex Jones, "f you" to Megyn Kelly. I'm probably missing somebody that he said "f you" to. He literally specifically said, if you still want to talk about the Epstein stuff, you're not MAGA, get out of here. So anybody that's interested in the Epstein stuff, which is most of the internet at this point, they're not welcome in MAGA. Like it's like they're purposely trying to lose or something. And here's the annoying part is I consider myself much more conservative and Republican at this point. I mean, I'm embarrassed to even say I'm a registered Republican because they're humiliating, but like the left clearly isn't even trying to pretend like they care about my values. So if there's any future at this point, I think that's going to be better. It's going to be Thomas Massey. It's going to be Ron Paul. It's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it's going to be people like Lauren Boebert that are slightly better. And these are all Republicans. So, Trump is 80 years old. He's a selfish, devilish boomer who doesn't care about anything. But this is going to be my country for a while. And he's tanking our entire party. It's like he's running everyone away. For the election, it was like, come here. And then after the election, he's like, screw you guys, get out of here. You're going to do profound damage to our party. I don't want to unregister because I want to believe that there's going to be candidates that are going to challenge the system like Casey Push or, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. But if Trump successfully kicks Thomas Massie out of the party with his 3 Zionist billionaire donors, Miriam Adelson, Singer, and Paulson, and they successfully kick out the best congressman of my lifetime who opposed the lockdowns, who opposed the CARES Act, who opposed vaccine mandates, who opposes all the spending bills, who opposes foreign aid, who votes alone and opposes these anti-Semitism condemnations and speech rules and all these things. He's the only one doing that. If they kick him out of the party, I'm out, and that's fine. You don't need me. You don't need millions of people. But if you lose millions of people, don't then act like you don't know why you lost the election. If you don't want that, then you don't want that. But be honest about it. I'll give you an example that's personal to me. I know that criticizing or challenging or being honest about Trump, especially, I've done it for 6 years, but I feel like I definitely ramped it up on my Facebook page over the last year. I know it might not be popular, and I lost, I think, like 200,000 to 300,000 followers, right? I had like 1.7 million. I'm down to 1.5 million. I don't really check that much, but I'm probably going down. I'm probably going to go down to 1.4 million, maybe 1.3. I don't know how many followers I'm going to lose, right? I don't know how many people I'm going to piss off. But here's the thing. I know that I'm doing it. I'm not running for president. I'm not running for office. I'm not trying to build a coalition to win an election. I'm trying to wake people up. And all the people that get mad at me, they don't understand what I'm doing, where they're like, do you want us to vote for the left? No, I don't. Do you want us to be a Democrat? Not at all. Like nothing I'm saying is pro-Democrat, literally nothing. So I don't know why you're taking this the wrong way. I'm trying to wake up my side of the debate so we can actually get good politicians. Because if you dummies don't wake up, no one's ever going to wake up. And we think we're making so many strides in this country because like the internet has awoken, and no offense, because there's a lot of cool boomers, but it's the boomer generation. Like they're going to go vote for Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. And we don't understand it. It's like nobody likes Lindsey Graham. He gets booed by boomers when he speaks in South Carolina. Yet these morons are going to go and vote for Lindsey Graham again, and he's going to win the election again. I don't know what's wrong with these people. Something's wrong with them, but it's like either you guys got to wake up, but if that's not possible, then we're going to try to wake up as many young people as possible. So when you doofuses can't vote anymore, we'll have more Thomas Massies and Casey Pushes and, people that are not completely like sold out and brain dead. So it's like, that's what I'm trying to do with my page, not send people to the left. I'm more conservative than Trump. I think he's liberal. I think he's more socially conservative than liberal, sort of, but he's a yes man. Like if you could find somebody that likes Donald Trump, he doesn't care who you are. He likes to be flattered. So I don't think he has Christian ideals or conservative ideals. And I'm thoughtful. I'm not like, oh, I hate people who don't agree with me. I'm very nice and compassionate. But in my opinion, how to run a successful society, I'm much more conservative than Donald Trump, fiscally and socially. I think Trump is like a shit lib from New York who's basically a borderline socialist and communist. He prints more money than Karl Marx on steroids. Like, Trump is not a capitalist. Trump is not a libertarian. Trump is not a conservative fiscally. Trump's printing money like Karl Marx took, like, Molly or something, and is like, at a nightclub just printing it. Like, it's like he's just spending money, printing money, spending. He has no plans to stop. But it's like, I know that I've lost a lot of people, but I'm okay with that. I don't care. And I'm not going to sit and act like I don't know why I'm losing hundreds of thousands of followers. I know exactly why. And I'm okay with that, and my hope is that over time they'll figure out, and this has happened over the last couple of years, over time they'll come to the same conclusions I have. And then they'll be like, you know what? It was Anomaly who told me this 5 years ago. It was Anomaly who said this when nobody would say it. It was Anomaly who challenged my thoughts, and now I actually agree with him. And maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. But what I'm saying is I'm not delusional about it. I know what I'm doing is not going to be necessarily popular. So if Trump is doing even more than me to kick out people who like Epstein, or not like Epstein, I think his friends like Epstein, but to kick out people who are interested in more Epstein disclosure, kick out libertarians, kick out conservatives, blaspheme Christians on Easter, like, would he ever do that to Jews? Do you think Trump would ever even dare to post a picture like that blasphemes something that Jews like? Do you think he'd ever do that? Absolutely not. And like I said earlier, if he did, he would be in Europe on a Ben Shapiro apology tour with a bunch of rabbis saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. How many walls and museums do I have to, visit? So, it's like, this is like how lowly Trump thinks of us. He's like, screw you guys who voted for me. Screw you guys who don't want glyphosate on your food. Screw you guys who think my vaccines are garbage. Screw you guys who want me to respect your Lord and Savior. Screw you guys who are anti-war. Screw you guys who want Epstein disclosure. Screw you guys who, disagree that with my endorsement of Lindsey Graham and, attacks on Thomas Massey. Think about it. I mean, just strategically think about it. What type of people are going to be left in your circle? Not the people that helped you win the House and the Senate and the presidency, not the people who helped you win the popular vote. You're going to be left with Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Miriam Adelson, Lord Rothschild, all his donors, rich people who like Trump because he's cool and, it's fun to hang out with Trump. I'm sure he's awesome. Dana White, who is a loyal friend to Trump, as he should be, because Trump helped him out early on. I respect that from Dana. Cat Turd, who's a retard. Gunther Eagleman, who I'm not even sure is a real person or he's just a retard. Like the dumbest people. And then, no offense, but it's going to be Christian Zionists and Jewish Zionists. Like, that's all Trump's going to have. His inner circle is now just people who say the same 5 lines on loop that nobody believes and don't even feel like debating anymore because it's so stupid. You could do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to please everybody, but you're definitely not going to win the midterms. You're definitely going to screw over our party for 10 years. And, your whole thing was make America great again. Okay. So, the prices are too high, this and that. Sure. He closed the border. He deserves credit for that. But at the end of the day, have some compassion and understanding with people that don't like what you're doing, because it's not a golden age. Just because you want to pretend like it is because you're rich and you want to pretend like it's a golden age because it makes total sense for you. But if you lost the next election, all of a sudden it wouldn't be a golden age and you'd be out of office again. We know what you're doing. It's not going to work. It's not a golden age. And you're doing everything you said you weren't going to do, spending all that time and resources on the Middle East. America would be a golden age if we never went to the Middle East to fight these wars. America would be a golden age if we took all the money you spent in Afghanistan and spent it on American infrastructure and rebuilt every airport and paid for, security for public places so there wasn't so much crime. With the money they spent in Afghanistan, you can employ 100,000 or 1 million. You could employ 1 million people every year to walk around and clean stuff up, the same way like landscaping companies or other trash collecting companies pay people to like clean, pick up trash, etc. The government could have done that with all the money that they spent in the Middle East. Like, it would be a golden age if you took all that money that you're spending in Iran and spent it here. But it's not, so we don't need the gaslighting. And we're not impressed with the trajectory of our country right now. And this idea that we have to beat up Russia and Iran in order to make America great again, maybe, but it just doesn't seem very likely at this point. It seems almost like we're being parasitically controlled and used, and then we're being neglected because everything that we want in this country is second fiddle. And domestically, I think that's how people feel. Like, they don't feel like they're getting anything right now. And it just the thought of us saying that we want something, it's like, shut up. Netanyahu gets whatever he wants. Miriam Adelson gets whatever she wants. Mark Levin gets whatever he wants. Ben Shapiro gets whatever he wants. He's so pumped. He's like, Trump's the greatest president ever. Oh my God. Listen, guys. This is so great. Oh my God. I've been waiting for this since I was a little kid. I was a little boy. Oh my God. My hat keeps growing. Why does it keep growing? I'm getting bigger. It's getting bigger. Okay. Okay. So they're all happy, but the gall of other of your voters. I mean, I guess Trump, in a way, he's just being transparent. It's like, yeah, maybe we are dumb for thinking that we're going to get anything out of them because the people who give them hundreds of millions of dollars get stuff, not us. Maybe, I don't know. But I hope that they really reconsider, because they're not just ruining the midterms for Trump, and they're not just ruining his reputation. They're ruining the future of our party and our country. We know how bad the left is, and it's easy to say, oh, both parties are the same, because they pretty much are absolutely both horrific and terrible. And you're completely right. But like, we don't need the border open again. Like, we don't need Mayorkas to like crawl down to the border and then let 15 million people in. Like, we can't afford that right now, especially as they're laying off jobs because of AI. The last thing we need is like 10 million illegals that they can't even trace coming to the country. So yeah, it's like we don't want the left to win. We don't want them to take over. But that's what you're doing. You're letting them take over either purposely or by a mistake because you guys are so insane at this point. And the disrespect to not just Christians, but and I'm not going to play the victim, but the goy disrespect and the disrespect to your voters, where it's like, your Jewish donors get whatever they want. They get anti-boycott laws, they get speech laws, they get the Golan Heights, they get the wars that they've always wanted. Okay. But then I'm an anti-Semite. If I say I don't believe in anti-boycott laws in America, I'm just an anti-Semite goy because I don't agree with a speech law that says that you can't say the Jews killed Jesus. That's literally in the anti-Semitism definition they're passing across America. You're anti-goy, you're anti-Christian, you're anti-Gentile, you're anti-America, you're anti-Constitution, you're anti-European. It's like, if everyone could play the victim, that's my victim card. I'm not really like scared about, oh, I'm a victim. I'm just saying, it's like, I'm tired of the disrespect. Trump thinks so lowly of us. He passes speech laws that say that we can't say who killed Jesus because he's getting paid by people of the same tribe or ethnicity. I'm not saying they're responsible for it or anything. I'm just saying, like, that's why they want to pass it. Why else would that law being passed? We don't have Saudi Arabian speech laws. We don't have Saudi Arabian boycott laws. We are a colony of Israel. Trump works for Israel. That's a fact. You're not going to gaslight us. You're not going to tell us that Tucker needs to stop talking. That's a fact. If you want to say it's not a fact, get all the speech laws out of America. They won't do it. The Democrats won't do it, and the Republicans won't do it. Get all the anti-boycott laws out of America. Neither party will do it. So we're a colony of Israel until you get that out. And I'm tired of the disrespect. I'm tired of being falsely labeled. I'm tired. Like, not only do we get nothing, but then we get doofuses like Leo Terrell, who should be greeting people at the front of a Walmart, working with organizations that are trying to destroy our lives and being like, I don't get all the anti-Semitism. Leo Terrell, you are a moron. You are an idiot. You are a low IQ, useful puppet goblin. Stop disrespecting the Constitution. Stop disrespecting the best American citizens we have. If there's any brain inside of that retard head of yours, why don't you read the IHRA, International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism, and ask yourself why the United States of America from 1776 until 2010 didn't need special speech laws for Jews, Israelis, and Netanyahu's government. But now, are you saying George Washington was wrong? He should have included that in the Constitution, that we need special speech laws for Jews, Judaism, Israelis, and the government of Israel? And anybody who disagrees is an anti-Semite that you're trying to set up with other, sneaky organizations that try to ruin people's lives. Excuse my language. I'm sorry about this, but fuck you, Leo Terrell. Oh no, my thing. Let's get it. Fuck you, Leo Terrell. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're anti-George Washington, anti-Constitution. If you had any soul in that sick little body of yours, what you would do is you would ask your conservative friends and the donors you probably hang out with, why are there special speech rules being passed into America that say that you can't say who killed Jesus, or you can't say who owns media companies, or you can't say who has dual loyalty? How is that American? How do hate speech laws work? And then he's sitting on Twitter and he's like, oh, we're losing the battle of anti-Semitism because you're passing hate speech laws. And Leo Terrell is such a sellout. If they did that for black people in America, his little corny ass would be the first one on Fox News being like, we don't need black people speech laws. It won't help. It won't help. It's against the Constitution. Yeah, you little dookie, you little dunce, you little dickhead. Yeah, no, it wouldn't work for black people. It wouldn't work for women. It wouldn't work for homosexuals. It doesn't work for anybody. Speech laws don't work. They don't stop hate. They only blaspheme the U.S. Constitution, and they only blaspheme our founding fathers. And for this specific one that you're passing, you little weasel, they blaspheme Jesus Christ. So not only are they completely evil and against American culture, but they don't work. So the reason you're losing the battle of hate speech is because you're siding with the people that are lying and passing hate speech laws into America and anti-boycott laws. Get them out of America. Get them out. And if you won't do it, what are you just going to do? Sit and call me an anti-Semite every day for the rest of my life? You're going to call Tucker Carlson an anti-Semite for the rest of his life? You're going to call that Candace Owens an anti-Semite for the rest of her life? You're going to call Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan and everybody's an anti-Semite now? The whole world's anti-Semitic. Makes sense now that they say, like, you know, if you listen like Randy Fine, he'll just be like, oh my gosh, everyone has always hated us ever and always kicked us out all the time. It's like, why, what, really? That's your history? I don't know. Yeah, that's what happened. Everyone simultaneously across world history just always hated Randy Fine or something. That's unfortunate and that's not nice. But what I can say about modern history, it's like I never thought much about people like Randy Fine or politicians in general, or Israel at all, until they started passing hate speech laws in my country. And then I didn't like it, and then they called me an anti-Semite. And then they lied about me, and then they tried to dox me, and then they tried to write articles about me, and then they tried to basically make it so I can't date or can't get married or can't have a career or can't work anywhere. And then my own government turned against me, and then they lied about me some more. And now Trump's entire administration is calling everybody honest and anti-Semite because they don't want to remove these boycott and speech laws out of America. They want to talk shit about everybody, blaspheme Jesus Christ, and lie on repeat. So, you know, it's like not only are they doing nothing to actually win elections, but it's like the hubris that they have to essentially be so openly anti-Christian and so openly anti-Gentile and so openly anti-Bible. It's like Trump, the good thing about Trump, I will say, besides the fact that he's good for business because he's so crazy, like everything's interesting, Trump is such a demon, but he's like not super sneaky about it, but he is at the same time. It's like, to me, he's not sneaky at all, but apparently to his followers, like they still believe him. But it's like Trump is actually super transparent. Like a demon that didn't want you to know they were a demon wouldn't tell you that they weren't getting into heaven. They would just lie and be like, oh, I believe. Trump doesn't even lie to you guys anymore. He's like, I'm not getting into heaven. I'm going to blaspheme your Lord and Savior. I'm going to pass speech laws against your Bible. I'm going to pass antichrist speech laws for the synagogue of Satan. He does it openly. He's not even pretending to not. And then his entire administration runs around and calls everybody an anti-Semite on loop. It's like, you're going to have to, you know, the nicest thing I could say is you're going to have to do a better job of convincing people. It's not Tucker Carlson's fault for having the same stance he had on Iran. You don't have to agree with him. He's had the same stance since 2018. People were getting mad at him then when he didn't want to start the war. You don't have, like, foreign policy is complex. I'm okay with some people wanting a war and some people not wanting a war. And what I will say to the people who agree with the war, you're winning. The war is there. Nobody listens to us. Trump is surrounded by like Rothschild people, and he'll do whatever. So it's like, what's the point of even like, you know, if I was getting my way, I wouldn't even care what people were saying. It's like, why do these people so badly want to like argue with us all the time? You won. You control Trump's administration. He works for you. Like, why get mad at Tucker Carlson? His word clearly means nothing. I think they're just afraid that people are going to like wake up over time. But in general, it's like you're not selling anybody. There's no sales pitch being made. It's just like, screw you if you don't already agree with us. All right, then I guess we're out. I guess we're not MAGA anymore. I never was. I mean, I never wore a MAGA hat. I always just tried to do independent reporting. It just went in his favor for a long time. But it's like, okay, that's what it is now. Now it's Joe Rogan, and you want to just fight with them instead of, why not have a discussion with them? Because it won't go well. So now you're just going to fight with all the most popular people in the country who used to like you a year ago. It's all them. It's not you. Yep, totally. Yep, for sure. It's like, what a bad sales pitch. What a bad way to, you know, garner support. And I hope that even if people listening disagree with me, I hope they listen to what I'm saying, because there's a lot to be learned for his administration there. And, you know, if our party, I'll say this and then I'll read some comments. If our party was like a big tent, right? Where it's like, okay, it's a big tent for, you know, everybody. It's Mark Levin and Lord Rothschild and Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. But, you know, everyone has a home. We could all debate and argue, but we're all Republicans. I'm not saying it's like the best solution in the world, like, oh, everything's going to be perfect, but at least that's an open party where we can kind of go back and forth and try to, like, pick different congressmen who have different foreign policy. Sure. But that's not what Trump and his administration's doing. They don't want me. They don't want Tucker Carlson. They don't want Candace Owens. They don't want Megyn Kelly, who's super chill. She's just not a complete retard sold out to Israel. They don't want Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like they don't want us at all. There is no big tent. There is no sales pitch. They're literally like, get away. Trump doesn't understand this because he just eats McDonald's every day and has no soul. But, I don't want glyphosate on my food. There's a reason I like Thomas Massie outside of the Epstein files and the Israel stuff. I mean, I do like that he votes against foreign aid and speech laws, but he talks about the meat industry. He talks about the food industry. He's the only one who stands up to you when you do things for the lobbyists and big pharma. That matters. That matters to me. That matters to millions of people. If you don't even want to acknowledge that, then it's like, don't be surprised when nobody's there. When you turn around and no one's there, don't be surprised and don't say they stole the election. You won the House, you won the Senate, you won the presidency, you won the popular vote. They didn't steal it from you a year ago. How come? Because you actually won and we didn't live in a lockdown where everyone was voting by mass mail-in ballot. And this next election is not going to be a lockdown either, hopefully, but I don't think it's going to be. And you're going to lose that one. And it's going to be the same type of election as the last one was. You're just going to have 50 to 20 million people less show up to vote for you because nobody likes you anymore because you failed on a lot of your campaign promises and you delivered on some. Just stop lying about it. Stop being delusional about it. Like the pitch isn't even like, you know what? I closed the border. I'm tougher on crime. Democrats are weaker on crime. That's inspiring. That makes me want to go show up again. I'm not going to, but I'm just saying that's getting closer. They're not even doing that. It's a golden age. Screw Tucker Carlson. Alex Jones is low IQ. Oh, yeah. Alex Jones, who could talk for 7 hours straight and give you a 50-hour history lesson, is low IQ. But Cat Turd is just so smart. We need more Cat Turds and Gunther Eaglemans and Eric Daughtry's and David Harris Jr.'s. That's what we really need. Not Alex Jones or Tucker Carlson or Megyn Kelly. They're just so dumb. And Candace Owens. None of them are dumb. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and Alex Jones are smarter than like every retard who supports Trump and conservative politics. You could say a lot about that. You could say a lot about Alex Jones. He's not dumb. You could say a lot about Tucker Carlson. He's not dumb. You could say a lot about Candace. She's not dumb. She's extraordinarily witty. And I would say her entire success is based off of how witty and intelligent she is compared to the average retard that they put on Fox News. So Candace went from here to here because she was just like way smarter than everybody. Everyone knows that. Even if you think she's doing messed up stuff now or whatever, you like Erica Kirk, Candace is not stupid. Cat Turd is stupid. Gunther Eagleman is stupid. Like Dan Scavino seems really stupid, but it's like, okay, I want to have a big tent. I want to win elections and do something. But if the tent doesn't include myself, Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massie, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, deuces, we're out. And don't say you got the election stolen. You stole the election from yourself because you guys are so ignorant and arrogant. This is what happens when you're just surrounded by everyone who kisses your ass. But the reason that everyone kisses your ass is, one, because you have power right now, but also you've created an atmosphere that everyone has to kiss your ass. If someone won't kiss your ass, they're not allowed to be there anymore. They don't want you there. So it's like, now it's like 8th stage, like ego meltdown. And Trump is just out here just letting everyone know that he has zero respect for Christians. It's a disgrace. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read some comments. Someone said Massie remarried a whole year later. Is that's your talking point, that he remarried after his wife died? Trump remarried multiple times and his wife, nothing happened to his wife. He just left her, divorced. So it's like, at least Thomas Massie would have stayed with his wife for the rest of her life if she would have been alive. But someone said your party will never be in power again in your lifetime. I mean, I don't think that that's true, because the Democrats will get in and then they're going to blow it, and then the Republicans will get back in. But people just need to realize what's going on. Whether you vote or not, whether you believe one party slightly better than the other, we need at least like 50 to 70% of the country to figure out that it's all BS, and then we can actually get in candidates. I don't know if I fully trust all these people, but Casey Push, James Fishback, like these people are kind of changing the dynamic of like what a Republican. Sorry, I got something in my eye, but they're like switching it up, and they're being very bold with their campaign strategy. Like that, hopefully, is the future of Republican politics, because then it'll be interesting. If not, it's just going to go in a loop. Do I think? Oh yeah, Dan Bilzerian's running. Do I think he'll win in Florida? No, I do not think he'll win. But do I think he's going to talk a lot of shit and wake a lot of people up in the process? Probably. So I don't think he'll win, but I think he's definitely going to stir the pot. Dan's very bold, but I'm not saying he thinks he's going to lose, but I don't think he cares if he wins or loses. I think he's just ready to like step into the spotlight. And I don't know Dan, I've never talked to him, but listening to his podcast, Dan's lived like an amazing life. He's been super rich. He's had like thousands of women, like the hottest women in the country. I think he's done the whole I forget what it's called, but he's done that whole thing. And now I think that he's like, I've lived a perfect life. I'm giving back because I don't care, like I've already done it all. It's not like the things that people desire, he's done. So he's past that phase. And I think he thinks that he owes people something in return since he's done that. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see what he does or what he says. I mean, Marco Rubio got a massive applause at UFC. Marco Rubio got a bigger applause than Donald Trump did at the UFC event. So Florida's probably going to vote for Randy Fine. Florida's probably going to vote for whoever's running against James Fishback. I don't think Florida is the place to challenge these things. I think Florida is like little Israel at this point and little Cuba. A lot of people there like Rubio because of his foreign policy. And I have to say this as well, because obviously people talk about Israel a lot for obvious reasons, but it's not just like people that have dual loyalty to Israel. And I like Cubans, I like Venezuelans, I like people from everywhere, right? I'm not a hater at all, but you talk to certain people and like, Trump said he talked to Miri Matelson and said, which country do you like more? And she wouldn't answer. He thinks she likes Israel more. Tyler Oliveira went to Texas and asked a bunch of Indians moving there, like, what's your homeland? And they said India. A lot of Venezuelans consider Venezuela their homeland. A lot of Cubans, they care about a different country because they came from there and they want to see it corrected. Everyone has a right to like other places, but that's the problem I think right now in America is the politicians don't care about America first. A lot of people in Florida don't care about America first. A lot of the people moving to Texas don't care about America first. So a lot of us, like I'm a third or fourth generation American. I think one of my grandparents was born here, maybe two or three. I'm not really sure, but I'm like a third or fourth generation American. I don't have another homeland. Like I'm Italian, I'm Polish, I'm Czechoslovakian, I'm Puerto Rican. None of those places are my home. I've never been there. My parents have, I don't know if they've been there, but you know what I'm saying? Like we're not like, oh, we got a lot of family there. No, all our family's here. We don't know anybody in any other country. Like everything I know is here. Everything my parents know is here. We have zero dual loyalty to any country. I don't even think my mom or my dad has even been to like the countries that their parents or grandparents were from or I don't know like who came here first, but it was a long time ago. So the average like Cuban, they don't feel that way. The average Venezuelan, they don't feel that way. Not all, but the average Indian, that moves to America within the last 5 years, they're like, no, India's my home. I'm just here to take advantage of it. Well, it reflects, and there's no one here for us. It's supposed to be the GOP. It's supposed to be Trump. It's just not right now, and I don't know. I'm just going to be honest about it. It's like, yeah, they love Marco Rubio because he's doing things that they want him to do in countries that they want him to do it. But it's not America, but that's okay, I guess, Someone said, my mom loves the country she's from, though it's Argentina's a third world shithole. I'm 100% American. Yeah, and I think it's natural to like where you're from because whether people will admit it or not, like race is real, culture is real, religion is real. Like, if you're Argentinian, you feel in touch with Argentina. If you're like, it makes sense. I'm not knocking it, but it's like, if you care so much about that country, why don't you go there? You know what I'm saying? I that's what I don't understand. Everyone's just using America as an economic zone. And I get it, but it's like, I don't if I was like 100% Italian and I felt so connected to Italy that it was like so important to me, I feel like I would just move there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a cool place. I heard like Lake Como is amazing. Like, but America has so much opportunity, and I understand, but that's the issue. That's what we've turned into, an economic zone for the whole world to just financially rape us, but nobody cares about us. And then if we want to be cared about, it's like, oh, you're an anti-Semite. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a sexist. It's like, is that what we exist, to just pay taxes so, people can just do contracts with their friends and make money? Like, that's why and what I'm saying here, it's not like I made this up and it's like, wow, Anomaly's so smart, he just thought of that. It's literally what Trump campaigned on. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have been talking about it for 40 years straight, but it's like Trump campaigned on it. And I want to say this too. Now that he's like attacking Alex Jones, Trump rode in on the wave that Pat Buchanan started. He rode in on the wave that the Tea Party started. He rode in on the wave that Ron Paul started. He rode in on the wave that people like Alex Jones started. And Trump just destroyed the wave. So it's like all the credit that everyone was giving Trump for doing this and that. Like, yeah, he was revolutionary. Yes, he was a trailblazer, but also he was a wave rider. It's not like Make America Great Again is like the newest thing, or like his ideas about economic stuff. You could find presidential candidates 35 years ago who didn't win, but who ran on the same premise. They just wasn't popular then. So it's like, saying all of these things is awesome, but if you get in a position of power to actually do it, you either got to do it. And if you're not going to do it, I think you just have to have compassion for people who don't think you did that great of a job. Like, let me give like Dan Bongino for an example, right? He went into the deep state, he left the deep state, and now he's mad at everybody who's against the deep state or whatever. I'm sure Dan did some things that were great that nobody knows about, right? I'm sure it's a stressful job. I'm sure Dan didn't really actually have power, and there's pretty much nothing Dan could have even really done, right? So it's not Dan Bongino's fault, but he comes out of the FBI, has no hubris, has no humility, has no compassion, and then he just starts yelling at everybody. And it's like, you can do that. You could fight with all of the best people in Congress. He's mad at Thomas Massie. He's mad at Tucker Carlson. You could be mad at all the best people if you want that are the truth tellers, and side with like the Ed Gallerins who's being bankrolled by Zionists. But you can do that. But people don't have to agree. And if you could create a universe where somebody like Dan Bongino that wasn't Dan went into the FBI and came out, Dan probably would have been on his podcast criticizing him too and saying that he failed and he lied and he backflipped. So it's like, I try to treat others the way I want to be treated. And I try to have respect and humility even when I don't agree with somebody, but I just don't understand what they're seeing. Because if I did what Dan Bongino did, I would have came out and been like, listen, there's a lot of things that we did. There's a lot of like drug deals and human trafficking stuff that we busted, and you guys don't even know how much we did. However, I understand why everybody might think I, came up short, because a lot of the things that I said before I was in office, I didn't, I ended up kind of like doing the opposite of, but now I know more than I used to. And it's not as simple as like, there's a way to explain it without just like, they're so delusional. I can't really think of like anything else besides like, they're just so delusional. It's like, what do you expect? Yes, you're going to still have supporters, but they're going to be like retards, like they're going to be the dumbest people, which maybe that's okay to have, a supporter's a supporter. They say cash money's cash money. So whether it's a dumb supporter or a smart supporter giving it to you, like maybe some people don't care. And I'm not saying like, oh, everyone's so smart and so dumb, but it's like, you're going to have the worst or the dumbest people on your side, and all the best people that used to like you are going to leave. Not based just on what you did when you were in the deep state, but based on how you're acting when you come out. They come out of the deep state swinging at like Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie and 3-time Trump voters who don't like Trump anymore. That's now your main priority. And then their whole concept is like, we need to get rid of the black pillars because they're messing up our movement. You're calling like 50 million people black pillars who are your movement and voted for Trump. If Trump did more of the things that he pretended that he was going to do, maybe there wouldn't be so many people that are disagreeing. Like, I don't know. They have like no room for scrutiny and criticism. And I just think they handle it very poorly. It's very bratty, and that's the two-party system. They just handle it very brattily, and I think that that's part of the design. Like, they play a role. People like them when they're out of office. When they get in office, they screw it up. People don't like them when they're in office. They don't want to admit it, and then they get out of office, then they fundraise, then they get back into office. It's like this never-ending cycle that people need to catch on to. Someone said, I think that Kent is a psyop. At this point, I don't trust anybody, but I go off of kind of like what they're doing and what they're saying. So if it ever changes, I could just change my opinion. I agree with a lot of what Kent is saying, but what his true intentions are or why he's doing it, I don't know. Only he knows. But time will tell on him. I like what he's saying, but if you don't trust him, then I think that's valid considering what we've been through. Someone said, why can't we have a president like Anomaly? Do you want me to be honest? You can't have a president like me because if someone didn't take donor money and somebody wouldn't sell out, it would be hard to compete with the amount of money that is being spent unless people got behind them. That's why I think I never want to I've never donated to a politician, I don't think, in my entire life. And I don't even really want to donate to Thomas Massey, but I do want to give him good promotion because, I like, if I'm going to endorse one person, I don't really endorse politicians. It would be Thomas Massey. I want him to win, and he needs money from people in order to like fight the Zionist billionaires that are bankrolling him. But first, it becomes a money issue. Then it becomes a media issue. It's like if someone like me ran for president, first they try to out fundraise you, then they try to smear your name in the press, then they'll try to blackmail you or get something on you. And if they can't do all that, they'll probably and I used to not believe this because I used to just like I try to not think this way, but I really think certain people would then probably just try to kill somebody, to be honest. And I think they've done that already to JFK and others. So I'm not trying to be like a doomer about it. And I've always tried to like not think that way because I think I don't want to think about that, when I'm doing stuff in the news. But I think that's the reality of it. And I'm at a point now where obviously I don't want anything bad to happen to me. Like, I don't want to get blackmailed. I don't want to get lied about. I don't want to get smeared. And I certainly don't want the worst to happen. But at a certain point, you kind of just have to either like you're going to be afraid your whole life, or you just come to terms with it and you say, you know what? I fear God. I trust God. I love God. And all the other stuff, like, I'd rather personally, it's like if they ever blackmailed me or something, I would just eat it and still tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever want to be a phony or be controlled by somebody to do evil things based off of, information on me. Like, I'd rather literally just like tell people the truth and be like, yeah, I don't know. I'm never going to lie. So they're going to blackmail me. So, or do something else. But I don't know. I'm like, I just realized that how evil certain people are and how persistently demonic they are. And it's like, whatever at this point, I think there's enough good people. I believe in God, and the rest of the chips will fall as they may. But I do think that it's important for people to rally behind good people, because once and even with like podcasts and stuff, even though there's a lot of phonies out there, it's been a huge positive movement, because if there's only one person telling the truth, then it's easier for them to do stuff too. But if it's a bunch of people, then it becomes a lot more difficult. And, I'm not saying this out of fear, but it's more just like a personal preference. Like, I don't want to run for politics. I'm not trying to compete with Jeff Bezos. Like, I don't seek the things that they seek. So I'm comfortable in my position, but I'm going to be honest with you and let you know that, and this won't stop me from doing things that I want to do, but it's just the reality of the world. The higher of the ladder you climb, the harder they will come at you if you're not completely controllable. And I think that what happened to Charlie Kirk is very, I don't know if I would say suspicious, but the timing of it is very odd, because you have to understand, like, even though I have big social media and stuff and people like me, Charlie Kirk had power that a lot of people don't understand. He not only had a big platform and a podcast and social media, he owned the largest youth organization in the country that controlled Christians, conservatives. Like, Charlie Kirk is one of the most powerful, it was one of the most powerful people in Republican politics outside of Trump. I think he might have been like number two. Even like JD Vance. The JD Vances will come and go. But the kid who owns the organization that they all speak at, the biggest conferences, the biggest meetups, like, Charlie was that dude. I didn't always agree with him. I thought he was a phony for a lot of his career, but like, in levels of power, Charlie was like the closest to Trump, I think, out of anybody. And he was saying he didn't want the war. He was trying to lobby against it. He was allowing Tucker Carlson to talk about the Israel lobby at his events. I'm not saying that's what happened to Charlie, because I don't know, and we'll look at the court case when it comes out. But that's what that's what they'll do to you, in my opinion, if you get to that level and you're isolated and you're like the only one there, where it's like, oh, he's too important to allow to say all this stuff. And maybe that's not what happened, but I'm just saying, I do think that that's the reality of the situation. But everybody does something brave. Massey did something brave. Marjorie Taylor Greene does something brave. People who do news shows do stuff brave. We need more people to be brave, because if you just let one person hang out there alone, then it's like they're just a sitting duck. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think at this point, there's so many people being honest right now that it's like nobody cares what the bad people are saying. Like, the word anti-Semitism doesn't work, the smears, like, people are over that. So I don't know what the future holds, but I think it requires a mental awakening from everybody. Like, why can't you get a president like someone else? Well, people aren't ready for it. When people are ready for it, there's not going to be enough donor money that can change everybody's opinion, because, like, they could spend $1 billion in advertising against me my whole life, and it's not going to change my opinion off of an ad. Like, their money doesn't matter to me, because I can research all sides of the equation and come to my own conclusion. So, I think the best way to get a better president, a better politician, is to rally behind the good ones, be honest. And I don't even like the word criticism. I'm not a critic. This is not criticism. I'm not sitting here saying, I would do this, I would do that, I would have caught a touchdown if I were him. Like, it's not criticism. It's just the truth. I'm not hating. I'm not overly judging. I'm trying to be respectful. I know what people are dealing with, the pressure of the lobbyists, etc. But if everybody's honest about it, things will change. And that's why I think, I have a difference of agreement with a lot of people in MAGA, where they think the best way to fight the establishment is to just make excuses for Donald Trump and act like he's secretly attacking Lindsey Graham when he's endorsing Lindsey Graham. To me, that's like the inversion of reality. Like, I literally think it's demonically inverted, where Trump is twisting your mind to say things that you don't even believe, just to make an excuse for him, because he's now a god or a hero in your mind instead of a politician. But I think it's literally the opposite of what will actually solve the issue, because because if everybody in MAGA said, we know what you're up to, we're not going to vote for you, we're not going to cheer for you, we respect you, we appreciate you, you're the president, we're rooting for you, but we're going to hold our ground on our values, and you're going to have to do what we want. He posted that blasphemous Jesus thing. He had more backlash with that than almost anything he's done, because it's like inexcusable to most Christians to be that disrespectful. And he deleted it. I mean, it's a minor thing, but at the same time, he deleted that. That shows that, oh wow, when everyone gets mad at me in unison and it's actually valid, I will cave. Like, that's the first time Trump's ever really pivoted on pretty much anything. So that just shows you the power of when people speak out and say that they don't agree with something. Someone said you're hilarious. There's nothing funny about what I'm saying. That is the revolution, is a mental awakening where people are not making excuses for Trump. But they're not, like, when someone's like, well, Biden does it too, you're talking to me as if I don't know that. Like, what's the point of even saying that? It's like opening your mouth and sewage is just coming out. everyone has the First Amendment, but if you're just going to poop in the comment section, like, what are you contributing? You know what I'm saying? We know that Biden sucks. We know that that's true. But if Biden prints trillions of dollars and Trump prints trillions of dollars, and both of the money prints makes us all poorer, and now we're a bigger slave to the system than we were 5 years ago, that's the point. Just like you'd call it out with Biden, you got to call it out with Trump. And if people are wondering, the reason I'm even more passionate when I call out Trump than Biden is because Biden isn't even pretending to be on my side. There's no PR for Biden because I didn't vote for Biden. And Biden is not sent to please people like me. He's sent to please libtards. So when Biden's in office, they should pressure him to do things that they want to do. When I definitely call Biden out a lot, but it's like, I know he's not going to listen because he's not a conservative. He's not a Christian in my vantage point. I mean, maybe he's a Catholic, but he's like a demon. So then when Trump gets in, Trump's the one who says he's going to do all the things that I believe in. So I want to pressure Trump even more because this is my guy. This is my 2 years to do it. This is our 4 years to get stuff done. Like that's the whole point of like why I want to go harder at Trump. So it's like, it's such an easy concept to understand. I don't get the people that are like, I don't want to disagree with him. Why? That's preventing anything from changing unless we just want to sit back. And I respect that, where it's like, let's just sit back and assume that the guy who took billions of dollars from donors is going to work for us and not the donors. Let's ignore the fact that he's giving an immunity shield for glyphosate. I'm going to just assume it's for my best interest. Like, if that's what you want to do, then why even comment or watch politics? Like, if I felt that way, if I was either like, it doesn't matter, or, I trust the president, then I just tune out completely. Like, what's the point? People won't admit it because they can't. They've created hallucinogenic fan fiction over Donald Trump. He is a god and a hero in the story. Even in a hero's tale, the hero makes mistakes and then does the right thing. In Trump, it's more of a religion than it even is a hero fan fiction, because every mistake he makes is a secret 5-dimensional chess move. It's not possible that he sold out to the donors. He's tricking the donors, and he's endorsing Lindsey Graham because he hates Lindsey Graham. Even though what? How? What? You know, like, and my question is, like, at the end of the day, right? We all make mistakes. We're all flawed. It's not a purity test because nobody can pass a purity test. So I'm not trying to overly judge people, but at the end of the day, you have to sit with yourself and you have to ask yourself, like, do you really even believe that? Because everything I say, I mean. I say what I believe publicly. I don't have a script. I'm thinking this all and saying it. And it's very clear. I'm very clear with my words. I'm very precise. I believe what I'm saying. And like I said, that there's different routes to go, but that's why I'm not afraid of worldly stuff anymore, because yeah, certain things are a little bit scary, but I've come to the conclusion I don't want to suppress myself. I don't want to lie. I don't want to be afraid of what evil people might do to me. I want to do the best of my ability to be as honest as possible. And I'd rather do that and take the consequences that come with that than lie to myself or lie to people, because I think that the consequences of that is even worse. So, it's like, at the end of the day, people that make all these excuses for Trump, do you really actually believe those things? Or are you just saying that to like create this God in your head that you just don't want to believe isn't on your side? I don't understand it. Like, why is that a black pill? Why is it a black pill to be honest with yourself? How is that pessimistic? It's like, imagine if JFK got assassinated and you were like, oh, that's a secret plan to do what JFK wanted to do. No, he got killed. It's not a black, I mean, it sucks, but it's like, it's just the reality of the situation. And then as a man, you need to work to correct your country and try to make it better. Like imagine your house is on fire and you're like, that's not a fire. And then your wife is like, put out the fire. And you're like, it's not a fire. It's orange goo from Trump. He's sending QAnon to my house. Like, your wife at that point should be ashamed of you. She's like, you're a coward. You're lying to yourself in order to not acknowledge that there's a fire because you're too afraid to put it out, but then we're going to die. Like that's equivalent to me, to the person who lies to himself over Trump. Like, it's not, you're not optimistic. You're a coward. You're a liar. And I don't care if you lie to me. I don't care if you lie in the comment section. You got to tell yourself, do you actually believe that? If you do, that's fascinating. And if you don't, tell the truth to yourself, because you're hurting yourself more than you're hurting anybody. Like, what? And there's different types of people too. There's certain people that they have different motives, right? Like, I'll just give you a few examples. If you're a Christian Zionist and your pastor told you the Schofield Bible and convinced you that your religion is the religion of Theodore Herzl, then you might actually believe that all of this stuff is going to bring back Jesus and save you. I'm not saying that's right. I think it's profoundly wrong and completely against reality, but at least, like, that person's never going to tell the truth, because they're not seeking truth. They're just saying what they believe on a loop, and they have a religious bias towards it. There are certain people that are American Jews, not all of them, because there's many that don't believe this, but there are American Jews that they like Israel because it is their ethnic homeland. They like Israel because it's a bunch of Jews who have a country. So they like that country way more than a non-Jew would, because that's their country. That's who they want to fight. So if America needs to fight the war with Israel because it helps America and Israel, or Israel more, that's how they're going to feel. And they're never going to see it like somebody who's not. The same way a Cuban or a Venezuelan might like the foreign policy of Marco Rubio because it benefits what they believe will benefit Cuba or Venezuela, and they care about those countries more than America. And even if it hurts America to help those countries, they're fine with that because that's the country that they care about. So in general, and then there's people who take lobbyist money who just do what the donors want. I'm not looking to convince those people, because they're never going to agree with me, because they either have a religion or an ethnic mindset or a financial mindset that prevents them from ever agreeing with me. But there's millions and hundreds of millions of people who don't have all of those preconceived notions, who are just getting tricked. That's more of what I'm looking for. Than the person that I know. Like, I'm done arguing with people that I know are not even trying. Someone said, $2 super chat, politics is the devil's playground. I hear you. And, here's what I've thought recently too, because part of me wishes, like, maybe I should have done something else so I didn't have to think about this stuff all day, because it's like kind of heavy. But then I think to myself, if you're not paying attention to politics and you don't understand the spiritual, religious, and financial underworkings of America and the world, and you're just off into the world, working in the world, you get kind of trapped in it. So it's like, I'm glad I pay attention, even though it's like, yeah, politics sucks. And it's like, part of me is like, oh, who cares? Let's just completely ignore it. It's like, if I didn't have this and I wasn't so hyper aware of everything, I would be getting tricked by the pharmaceutical industry. I would be getting tricked by some libtarded boss. And then I would be lying to myself, being like, oh, this isn't that bad because I want the money that like, that's how so much of this stuff works. Like, during Trump's COVID stuff, I know a lot of people that, or even like the anti-Semitism speech laws. I know people that worked at corporations that aren't bad people, but they lie to themselves, because lying to yourselves gets you easy money. Telling the truth to yourself makes that money harder. And if you're not rich and you're like a big financial person for that company, it's not easy to lose your salary. Who wants to lose a salary, regardless of how much you make? But especially if you're like just getting by, it's easier to just lie to yourself to stay in a system that's paying you than it is to tell the truth about it. So, it's like, as much as I'm like, politics does kind of suck, I'm super, super grateful, I would say, that I ended up here, because I don't know what else I would really be doing, to be honest. I mean, I've done other stuff, but someone said to me the other day too, they're like, look how many monthly listeners you have on Spotify. And I'm like, dude, 99.9% of my time, I'm doing politics. I'm barely focusing on my music. I don't know what would have happened, and I'm not trying to live in an alternate reality. But if I spent all the time I spent on politics, on music from 2016 until now, I think it would be different. But I've accomplished a lot of music as well. It's just not what I spend my time on now. And I like it, but it's just like, it's not something I want to spend that much time on now, because I'm not trying to like completely transition my careers. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I can make music, say what I want, and I'm not like a slave to a label or a corporation. So, It is what it is. Someone said America is insolvent now. How can such a debt ever be redeemed? I want to say this as well. And I want to speak to everybody because, like, whether you're a Christian or a Catholic or an atheist or a Hindu or Muslim or Judaism or whatever, whatever you are, like maybe some people don't have the same moral code, but if you consider yourself a moral person who doesn't want to just completely be evil, which I think is like most of the country, we have to like really think about what we're doing in America and then ask ourselves like, is like, should we be spreading this everywhere else? If we were so moral and so pure, then attacking other countries and making them more like us is a moral thing, possibly, right? It's just hard to sell that to a Christian or anybody with like a brain, in my opinion, to be like the same people pushing too much gambling, too much usury, prediction markets, like pornography, homosexuality, like all of our corporations, liberalism, feminism, all the things that conservatives complain about in America. That is like every sports league is gay, like hockey's gay, the New York Yankees are gay. It's like they got BLM stuff still on the sidelines of the NFL. Like nothing, all the greatest things in America have been completely subverted and co-opted by, at bare minimum, liberalism, which most conservatives don't like. So if that's the case, do you feel comfortable, right? And this is not like, I like my religion, but do you feel comfortable going to a godly country that has more dedication to conservatism and spreading liberalism and feminism? Like, is that, as a conservative, you feel called to do that? As a Christian, do you feel called to do that? You get what I'm saying? Like, this is like what people don't stop to think because they're constantly listening to the media, which is telling them to do it. I understand the world is complex. I don't want to be attacked by Iran or anybody. I don't want China to be richer than us. So, like, I don't want any of these things, but I'm a very hyper aware spiritual person. And it's like, I think, and I don't say this to say other countries are so great. I don't think that, but I just think American leadership is evil. American culture has become evil. We're not an evil country, but it's become evil. It's controlled by evil people, and they're pushing evil messages, evil liberalism, and anti-human, anti-Christian messages in like every sports league, every organization, every media company, everywhere in our country, and no one's doing anything to switch it. So then if we're going to go do that to other countries, like, how is that godly? How is that good? And that's why I think it's so interesting that Trump posted that thing as him with Jesus. And this is what I'll say with Trump. This is what I do kind of like about Trump is he's not as sneaky as he used to be. And he's not as tricky as other politicians are anymore. He used to be pretty tricky, and maybe he was a better person then, but like, he's kind of like showing you, if someone posts an antichrist, blasphemous, sacrilegious picture of them with their face in Jesus, with someone reviving someone that looks like Jeffrey Epstein with like a demon flying above them, it's like he's letting you know we're not the moral country here. And I'm not saying Iran is a moral country, but it's like, we're not moral. We're not good guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, could the trajectory of this war be good? Sure. I'm willing to say that I think there's horrible people in Iran and et cetera, but it's like, Trump's not even pretending to be the good guy. If he was pretending, he would post some godly message and be like, listen, I know that the Lord wants peace eventually, but I have to make a difficult decision in order to bring peace and stability and whatever. Like, he would be posting some godly message and then doing some sort of like, medieval, what was it called? Like the Crusades, like some Crusades vibe where he's like, we have to do this, but it's for the better. He's not even pretending. He's like, I'm a demon. Look, guys, now I'm going to block the Hormuz. Look, haha, I'm mocking Christians. It's like, he's just showing you, he's just telling you, so that's all I have to say is like, cause to be honest, it's been unfortunate these last 2 years. Like, I don't care if people disagree with my foreign policy. I don't care if people disagree with my domestic policy. As long as you're a good person and you have good intentions, it's okay to have different conversations about it, right? But here's what I can't deal with is like there's so much division now where a lot of people that I was friends with in conservative media, they're so Zionist and they're so divided that they just don't want unity. And it goes both ways. You know, I'm not going to just sit and say it's just them. It's a little bit of everybody. But like, can I not agree that like what I have to just agree with everything that Trump's doing? Like I can't focus on domestic issues. I don't I'm more conservative than Trump. I don't think what we're doing here on any level is good. I don't think it's American. I don't think it's Christian. The speech laws aren't Christian. The anti-boycott laws aren't Christian. The constant promotion of sodomy in sports leagues is just bizarre. It's like, why do the sports leagues have to be homosexual? It makes absolutely no sense. Uh, I make this analogy, and I don't know if it's a good one, but like, okay, imagine if like the NFL and the NBA and the NHL or whoever, imagine if they're just like promoting blowjobs and they're like, it's blowjob week, you know, they changed the color of like their logo for like the New Jersey Devils to like promote blowjobs. Like, wouldn't that be weird? It's like, if you like them, it's on you. You know what I'm saying? Most guys do, even though maybe they shouldn't, like biblically, but it's just like, why? Okay. Like everyone has preferences in the bedroom, but like, why does this have to be on the logos and stuff? In my opinion, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody, but I think homosexuality is worse than that, you know, like biblically. So why like it's not only like not Christian to promote, and once again, I'm not trying to like judge or hate people, but it's just like a weird thing to promote. You know, it's like weird to promote inverted sexuality at sports games. Like why do you have to do that? You know, I had a Equinox Pass or whatever where I used to live, and like there's just like weird like homoerotic like things there, and it's like why is that on the wall? Like if people want to do that in their spare time, that's fine. You know, people can do what they want. I'm not a dictator. It's like you have the right to have sex with someone, but why is it being promoted on the walls? Why like that's what no one stops to think. And then everyone's just like, oh, it's you know, it's just this, it's just that. Yeah, it is that and this, but it's also like deeper than that. It's a profoundly weird, perverted, open thing to just promote. Like no one needs a professional sports team to promote homosexuality, let alone any sexuality. Like it doesn't need to be promoted by sports teams. Like, is anything, you know, like, can't sports athletes just go home and have sex in their bedrooms? They need to promote a certain type of sexuality on a freaking poster at the game. Like, it's like we're living in Sodom and Gomorrah. We're living in like demon world, you know? And it's like, that now we don't need to focus on that sort of stuff. We need to bring that to Iran, who's more conservative than Christians. And this is like the biggest, you know, Zionist psyop, in my opinion, is modern. And I didn't realize it was just Zionists doing this. And it's Christian Zionists too, by the way. I'm not just blaming one race or one ethnicity. It's definitely Christian Zionists as well, of all races. But they they trick Christians in America into thinking that only Muslims are conservative to an extent that Christians have always been conservative. Like they'll be like, "Oh, that's Islam." It's like, look at every Christian nation ever, and they did not all the same things. They didn't make women wear burqas, but women did dress modestly in Christian societies. You know, like we are not Islam. Islam is not Christianity. They're not interchangeable. But this idea that only Islam wants women to be women, only Islam, it's actually an anti-Christian narrative that they're erasing Christianity in order to act like it's only Islam. Like if anything, it's probably converting more people to Islam, because a lot of Christians who are seeking Christianity and conservatism and biblical structure realize that a bunch of Zionist pastors don't believe in biblical structure, and then they go and become Muslims because they're like, oh, these are the people that actually believe this stuff. I've seen it happen to like dozens, like a lot of the younger kids who are so tired of retard boomers, they're becoming Muslims over Christians because they can't find any actual conservative Christian preachers who believe what the Bible says. I'm just being honest. It's like it's leading a lot of people to a whole different religion. Most of like if you look at a lot of the stuff that they do, like when it's, I'm not saying all of Sharia law because I'm not That's not what I'm saying. But if you read what it is, a lot of them are Christian values. This is just a fact. It's like no pornography, no gambling, no usury. Christian societies also used to do that. They're trying to erase Christians and be like, no, Christians need to worship Israel. And the guy who, owns the OnlyFans and gives money to AIPAC. It's like, what? And look at those countries where women don't have the same rights that men do. Okay. Are you talking like America pre 1930s? And then the men went off to die in war, and then they let women work in factories, and now women, are overworked, in my opinion, and underloved. This is my pander to women. You guys are working too hard, baby girl. Take off. You know what I'm saying? Take off of work, take off a month, take off a year. I got you. Relax. You're overworked. You're overworked and you're underloved. That's what Papa Anomaly says. No, I'm just kidding. But but seriously though, it's like, I think women are stressed out because they have to work so much now. Back in the day, men were like, no, I'll do that. You do what you like to do, Oh, wow, that's so sexist. It's like, I'm sure some women loved it and others probably got stuck with the wrong guy and didn't love it. But that happens now and half the country gets divorced. But it's like, wow, I can't believe they don't let women drive. Well, they do now, unfortunately, and women are mostly bad drivers, but some women are good. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I mean, there's definitely some good women drivers. I know a few. But when I talk to younger chicks that are in their like 30s and 20s, I'm not talking like a lot of boomers know how to drive and stuff. Shout out to the boomers. Boomers women know how to drive. But I don't know. If I go on a date and I'll like ask somebody, because I'll be like, are you a good driver? Most women I've talked to that are like in their 20s or 30s in the last 2 years, they all say no. Like I'll be like, are you a good driver? And they'll be like, no, I'm a terrible driver. So then I feel bad. I'm like, I don't want you to ever drive anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, not because I hate you, but it's like, if you say you're a bad driver, then you shouldn't be on the road. Ask me if I'm a bad driver. Are you a bad driver? Absolutely not, because I don't want to freaking die. So it's like, I'm a good driver. I have good hand-eye speed coordination, but also I'm intelligent and I try to just drive smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not a bad driver. And if I was, I wouldn't want to drive that much. Literally every chick I've talked to, oh, I'm a bad driver. I suck at driving. Then how are you on the highway every day? That's scary for everyone. But it's like, oh my gosh. Only they don't like usury and homosexuality and pornography. Christians felt that way from the time of Jesus Christ until like the 1950s. But okay, I guess it's just only Muslims though. I'm just saying, like, these are just thoughts that I have that I don't hear on the television. These are just thoughts that I have that I don't even hear on most podcasts. Like, nobody's really talking about that, So I don't know. Someone said, I love you, Anomaly. My husband says the same thing as Tate. Women need a lot of time to waste in a day. I mean, shout out to your husband. He's a real one. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone said my sister crashed her car in a ditch 5 different times in the same spot over a period. I mean, if you take away all the feminism and you ask most chicks, like, would you do, like, not that they can't drive, but it's like, do you want to drive on the highway every day to go to a job you hate? Or do you want to marry some hot dude who has money that will let you like live on a farm? Most chicks are choosing number 2. It's just the reality of it. It's like, it's not that they can't drive, but they don't like, I don't know. I feel bad for everyone, but especially women that just have to drive to work like an hour back and forth every day. It's like, it's just too much. Just relax. Papa Anomaly will let you relax for 2 weeks. Stop stressing out. You'll be okay. Just take a seat. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about geopolitics. You'll be fine. But I don't know. There's also some groups that are just not good drivers too that everybody notices. I'm not going to say who, but let's just say Tiger Woods has crashed a few too many times. It may be the opioids or it may be something else. We don't know. So it said, who has custody of the Trump kids? Aren't his kids like old? I don't think anyone has custody of them. They're like grown adults. Barron's the youngest one, and he's like a young adult now. Don Jr.'s like 50. Like, who has custody of them? I'm pretty sure themselves. Does he have other kids? I don't know. Someone said, if you was my girl, you'd never have to work at all, baby. I mean, pretty much though. Like, you work together, you know what I'm saying? You work together on a beautiful life. It's not like you just sit there and watch TV all day. It's like there's things to do. It's just not like drive an hour on a highway when you're not a good driver and work for some corporation that's trying to make you gay. You know, it's like it's lesbian night. It's like every night's lesbian night at this corporation because it's a bunch of lesbians. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, it's lesbian night at this liberal corporation I'm at. Wasn't yesterday lesbian? Oh yeah, it's lesbian month. How many lesbian events are you gonna have? Half the women in here scissoring each other. Like, can't we just make computers? No, it's like everything's just so. I don't know. It's like just it's enough, you know. And I like lesbians, you know. It's like as long as they're hot, you know, as long as they're not ugly. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But hot ones are definitely cooler, in my opinion. But that's a totally ignorant take that you shouldn't have, and no one else should think these things. But I'm just being honest. Hot ones are more visually appealing to me than ugly ones. But you know, it is what it is. It's not about that. So don't even think that way. Was the Masters rigged? I mean, I don't think so, but probably not. But who knows? Barron's taller than most NBA players. He's definitely tall. I don't know. I don't know how tall he is, but NBA players are pretty tall. So I would say he's like average for the NBA. Maybe not. Tiger's dating Don Jr.'s ex-wife. It's all in the family, you know what I'm saying? They got to spread the love around, you know? What's the saying? What's the saying on the streets? She's not your girl, she's just your girl for the moment or something. Isn't that what the streets are saying? I'm not saying that. The streets are saying that, folks. I'm not the one saying that. So relax. Someone said I work on cooking and cleaning and homeschooling. Nice. Someone said Mr. T, Snake, Q, MAGA regime said fake news, so everyone followed his paid grifter soundboard and his Q-tard cult. It's definitely possible. Someone said Jesus has a problem with Iran. I'm not going to speak on behalf of our Lord, but I don't know what he thinks about this. Someone said she's not your girl, it's just your turn. Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, that's not true to every woman, obviously, but I feel like it is true to some, honestly. You know, until she finds her husband or something. I don't know. It's not my fault. Stop blaming me. Someone said communism means that's our wife. Dude, that's really funny. It's like, dude, that would be funny if someone said that to Mom Donnie. Respectfully, of course. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but he's like, that's not your wife. That's our wife. This is socialism. We're all sharing. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not like that. Not like that. And you're like, kind of is like that though, bro. Because if I have to share my taxes with you and I have to share the income that I work for, the least you could do is share your wife with the community. Welcome to Coachella. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Burning Man. I feel like they do that stuff at like Burning Man. I've never been, so I don't know, but it just reminds me, you know. One time I was at like a bar, like an outdoor bar, and this chick, she was like pretty attractive. She kept like staring at me, like just like staring at me, and she had a guy with her. I'm not making this story up. This is real, by the way. But like I could just tell the eye contact was like so serious. I played it so cool. I was like, all right, I got to go say hi to her, but I got to like maybe that's her brother or something because like she's making it pretty clear she wants to talk to me. So I walk over and I say hi. I say hi to her. I was like, hey, and then I shake his hand. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not trying to just like straight up just talk to whoever the girl he's with. So I'm like, how you doing? Shake his hand. I'm like super respectful. I just start talking to them both together. And then like within like 5 minutes, they just tell me that they're swingers. They're like, oh yeah, we're swingers. I was like, interesting. I was like, how's that work out? And she was like, they were like, it's been great. You know, we've been together for 20 years. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't know I'm not advocating for it, but I'm like, they did. I was like, you guys definitely look happier than everybody. Like, I don't know. Usually when couples are out, they're like pissed at each other and they're ready to go home and fight. I was like, you guys do look super happy, but you know, nothing came of it. But I could tell something was up. I could sense it. And they were swinging. They were swinging. They were communists with their relationship. It was everybody's turn. They were socialists, you know. Everybody gets a piece or something, but to each their own. But you know, I wasn't gonna preach to them at that moment, but it was funny. Let's see. Someone said I worked in a city where I swear swinging was invented. How was it invented in the city? Like, did people just get bored or something and they just started like banging each other's wives? Like, how does that happen? It starts with one freak, and then they just start convincing, like the serpent in Adam and Eve. They just start convincing people's wives. Like, wouldn't it be fun if we all just hung out? And the next thing you know, the whole town's swinging. Something like that. Someone said, sure, nothing happened. Nothing happened, but if you want to believe something did, then that's on you. Someone said, how is swinging not gay? I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know what you would call it, but it's something. I'm not the creator of what it is or what it isn't. It just was what it was. Someone said, from old to young, I was a barber. You were a barber in the town where everyone was banging each other? I bet you heard a lot of stories. I feel like people like to talk to their barber, That's the time where you just start talking about anything. And the barbers just have to listen to it because they can't go anywhere because they got to cut your hair. Someone said this is in Rancho Cucamonga. Yeah, the only thing I think about when I think of Rancho Cucamonga, besides some kid I used to know from there, I think of Workaholics. I feel like they were from. Didn't they say they were from Rancho Cucamonga and Workaholics? That's one of my favorite shows. If you never saw Workaholics, it's so funny. I watched it like a couple years ago to see if it was still as funny as I thought it was, and it definitely was. So, yeah, Workaholics is fire. They put Rancho Cucamonga on the map, but I guess Swingers did too. All right, let's move topics. I forget how we even got there. Swinging started with 5 married men accidentally mixing their keys up in a fishbowl. I don't think that's true. I feel like you just made that up, but like, oh, we got the wrong keys. I guess we'll just move into your house and sleep with your wife. It's like, what? Is that real? Is that really how it happened? People were that complacent back in the day. Maybe back in like Oregon Trail days where they just didn't have that much, It's like, I used to play Oregon Trail on my computer. It was like, you're sick. I was like, oh shit. Not now. I got to cross the freaking river. It's not the time for this. What do I think of the Lego songs? To be honest, I haven't really seen the Lego stuff. I know like Iran is doing like Lego propaganda, but to be honest, I think I saw one like 3 weeks ago, but I'm not really like following the whole Lego thing. Are you talking about the Iranian propaganda? Or are you talking about like a different Lego? They do swap keys. LOL. Are you like an expert on it? Maybe you should write a book about it or something. I don't know. Someone said just swinging started with Pac-Man and pool sharks. Pac-Man and pool sharks. I don't know. We went too far down this rabbit hole. Let's move on. Pete Hegseth is fire. He definitely likes fire when he's blowing things up, but did you guys see they did a monologue in SNL this weekend and it was really funny? Like Trump sucks so hard now that SNL's funny again. Like I thought they nailed it. What is his name? Colin Jost or something. His Pete Hegseth is really funny. And then I don't know who's playing the Trump, but he's funny too. Who plays Trump on SNL? Let me see. Oh, James Austin Johnson. I don't know who that is, but he does a really funny Trump. I thought it was pretty brilliant. All right, stop talking about swingers, guys. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter. I don't need to know the origins, but I appreciate the history lesson. Romans, Egyptians. I feel like a lot of stuff is like cyclical, I don't think it started like recently, but I don't know. I think at least for me, this is what I'll say. I think the advertising in this country has gone too far. I think that's something maybe we can all agree on, just to keep it on a level that's like not too crazy. Not that I really care that much, but you get what I'm saying? Like, say like pharmaceuticals. I get it. But every commercial has to be a pharmaceutical pill and a pharmaceutical injection. It was like a pill for 10 years straight, and now they're doing like Ozempic injections. It's too much. The prediction markets, it's too much. The gambling ads, it's too much. Every sports team is a homosexual. It's too much. You know what I'm saying? Can everyone agree? Can we come together, all libtards and conservacools? No, I'm just kidding. Libtards and conservacools. I just wanted to like make no, I'm just kidding. But can't we all come together and be like, we don't need to promote like gambling, homosexuality, and pharmaceuticals everywhere we go? Can we tone it down? I feel like the Romans, like, you know, they were freaking around a little bit, but they weren't like pushing it in everyone's face. But I don't know. I like every society, I think, goes too far and then screws up, and then goes too far and screws up. It feels like we're doing everything too far. So we would be truly blessed if it didn't screw up for us, because like we're, you know, that's why I want to make America great again. Like I maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is not how the world works, but if you fix your country, I believe you become more blessed. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I like to believe that changing yourself changes the world. So how are we going to fix the whole world if our country is like peak degenerate and they're just pushing gambling further and further and further and further, and homosexuality in every sports game, and then the pharmaceuticals are more and more and more. It's going in the wrong direction. It's too like we need to go back to the 90s when they were just trying to feed us shitty cereals and stuff, you know, which was also terrible. But it's just like, is there any honor in this country anymore? Can people just keep anything to themselves? No, everyone's got to gamble at every second on everything. And Don Jr.'s got to sit on a prediction market board so you could bet whether we're going to send troops into Iran. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. Spreading democracy too far. It's not even like democracy. They don't believe in democracy. Not here, not anywhere. If a leader ever gets in that won't work for whoever, you know, then they have a problem with that leader. And forever, I told everybody, I'm going to say this. Someone said, clean your room, bucko. Where's Jordan Peterson? Hopefully he's doing well. But our entire alliance in Europe, like take any foreign policy you've heard on TV from me or anyone else, whatever. Every one of our allies is like in the gutter. Their whole country is being replaced. They're demographically shifting. And there were only two countries historically who were rejecting libtardism. It was Poland and it was Hungary. I mean, Ukraine is getting gayer and at war, but like really it's like Hungary and Poland. Poland elected Donald Tusk, who I'm convinced that the globalists just like invented somewhere. They're like, should we call him Donald Dump? And they're like, no, that's too close to Donald Trump. They're like, what about Donald Trunk with a K? They're like, no, that's, you know, Owen Benjamin's been joking about that for a while. They're like, we can't use that one. You know, it's like he used to call him Donald Trunk, and like, or maybe he still has, but like, I think that's so funny. It's like, what about Donald Blumph? They're like, no, the liberals use that one. And they're like, what about Donald Tusk? Donald Tusk, that'll work. It's like, yeah, Donald Tusk, that's his name. Maybe that's always been his name, but I feel like they just made him in a lab. Anyway, he's like the leader of Poland, or I think he won the last election at some point. So then Poland's probably cooked. And then Orban, who was endorsed by Trump, Netanyahu, and JD Vance, which is concerning, but he lost to somebody who's slightly more liberal that all the George Soros types are pumped about and Obama's happy about. So it's like now all of our allies are failing. It's like everyone in Europe either has to be a Zionist or a global, you know what? Oh, but we really need to fight other countries. I mean, it's like, why not fix London? Why not fix Britain? Why not save Ireland? If we care so much, why don't we save all of Europe and then we can go save the Middle East? You know, if we care we don't care. We're run by people who are destroying all of these countries. So, you know, and they give us two options that are both controlled. And then eventually they kick out like the Donald Trump, and eventually they kick out like the Viktor Orban, and then they replace them with like a Soros type person. And then they open the border. And then the Zionists will be like, oh, no, I didn't want that to happen. And maybe they didn't. But, you know, these are our choices. These are our choices. This is the choice we chose. All right. I got like 5 more minutes. I've had a lot of energy, but I'm getting tired. I want to. Someone's freaking out at someone who freaked out at Candace Owens. Someone got mad at Candace Owens and called her Candy. And now someone's saying, I'm way back at the beginning. Whoever called Candace Candy, screw you. That's a stripper name. So we got Candace defenders in the chat. We got Candace haters in the chat. I was going to play my Candace video because I'll play it now. I'll see if I can find it on my computer. I don't have it, so I guess I can't find it. But I uploaded an old interview I had of her because she was like talking about Thomas Massey and how she wanted to, Massey to be president or vice president one day. And I didn't realize that so many people had Candace derangement syndrome, but I guess Candace derangement syndrome's a thing. Like if you don't like her, I get it. If you like her, I get it. If you don't agree with what she's done over the last couple months, sure. But the deranged, like people were like I had like women like bugging out. They're like, I can't believe you did this. I was like, yeah, you can't believe I interviewed her in 2013 and talked about Thomas Massey. I was like, are you okay? Like, I was like, you can unfollow me. I don't care. But I'm like, are you like, does what she bothers you that bad? Like, I don't know. I get it, I guess. But it's just like, I didn't realize so many people had Candace derangement syndrome. Yeah, I haven't seen her streams in a while, but I'm sure a lot of people have. She's like one of the most popular people. Every time I meet somebody in person, they're like watching Candace every day. So she's definitely like super popular. Trump's like, nobody cares about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Yeah, but people just really care about Mark Levin. It's like, what is he like? What world does he live in? See, I just don't like the dishonesty. Like, just be honest. Like Candace is absolutely like one of the most popular people in the country. Even if you don't like her, that's true, right? Trump's like, nobody watches Candace. Everybody watches Fox News. No, boomer. Nobody watches Fox News. Like Mark Levin's like numbers are nowhere near Candace's. And if there's a discussion about Mark Levin, 80% of people are making fun of him. It's like it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Candace has a lot of haters, but she also has like hundreds of thousands or millions of people who watch her show every day. She's like a superstar. Nobody likes you, Tucker. You don't have what it takes to go on television. He literally was on television. He was the number one person on TV until he said too much and they kicked him off for Jesse Waters. It's like, come on. Like, it's just so dumb. I don't know, but it's funny. Someone said, I love her. I just don't listen to women. That's funny. Someone said let me read another one. Dissecting politics is over. Now we want people looking at an actual solution. But the solution is for people to understand what's going on. Here's my opinion. I'm not trying to hero worship any politician, but the closest thing we have to a solution would be like Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, politicians like that are willing to vote against Trump sometimes when he's wrong. That is the solution. A bunch of people like that. Trump is trying to destroy the solution. That's the problem. Trump is not only not the solution, but he's trying to destroy the solution and make sure the solution disappears. So it's only his Israeli friends. So you can't just not challenge Trump, because Trump is essentially like a deranged Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin at this point, trying to make everybody in Congress. He's like, oh, everybody should be Lindsey Graham. Everyone should be Mark Levin. Ooh. And it's like, he's the problem. He is the problem. Laugh, please. Okay, I'm Jeb Bush. Laugh. I'm not up here shucking like a jive monkey for nothing. If I'm not going to get showered in super chats, I'm at least going to get a hysterical applause from my totally real audience. That's a weird laugh, but it's whatever. So where were we? Anomaly voting isn't real. It never was, in my opinion. I'm not going to argue with you, I guess. I don't like whether people vote or not vote. I don't care. I just want people to use their energy and their mindset to being honest. I'm different than certain other people, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But for me, when I changed my mindset, my whole life changed around it. If I kept the wrong mindset, I wouldn't be here. I never would have been successful. I would be like somewhere really bad. You know what I'm saying? Changing my mind changed my reality, and it changed my world. So that's really all I want people to do. Whether you vote or don't vote, I feel like I just want people to change their mindset, be more honest, and then when you're more honest, then like the whole system can kind of change. Some people might not believe that. They might think it's naive or whatever. But that's what I believe. I really think it's like there's so much, I won't even say division, but it's like there's so much ego and there's so much anger and there's so much misplaced arguments, but people just aren't honest with themselves. So if you're not honest with yourself, it's like nothing else matters. Someone's going to trick you. Trump's going to trick you. Biden's going to trick you. Kamala's going to trick you. Joe Kent might trick you. Like someone will trick you. You got to just like hold it down for honesty. And then the whole system, like different candidates will get elected, different media will be watched, different products will be bought. It all comes back to what we're doing, what we're putting out. Someone said, personally, Candace is saying Hot Girl Summers being led by Bridget Macron is the funniest thing I've heard all year. To be honest, I do want to watch Candace's like response to Trump's thing. It's probably hilarious. Candace is really funny. And I'm sure she had a good reaction to Trump being like, Candace she's not as hot as Brigitte Macron. It's like, bro, what? Why is like, dude, Trump is just running a humiliation ritual on MAGA. And he's just like seeing how much he can humiliate his audience. Like I'm a registered Republican and he's embarrassing me. And I don't even like need to be embarrassed because it doesn't have anything to do with me really. Imagine still being a Trump supporter and Trump's like, Brigitte Macron, she's so much more beautiful than Candace. It's like, whoa, buddy. Wait a second. What? like I said, just say something of value. Say, I don't like Candace's new investigation. Okay. I don't like that Candace did this. Sure. But you're going to sit there on True Social and be like, Candace, she's not hot. Brigitte Macron is far more stunning, I must say. It's like, all right, bro. Like, there's no need for this. Who is this for? Who is that for? Who wants that? Like, dude, every supporter of yours is like, yeah, like what? No one wants that. Like it's like a product that he's selling that nobody wants, that people just have to defend. Like, what's the target audience for a True Social post in all caps lock saying that Brigitte Macron is hotter than Candace? Like, dude, even like the pro-white race crowd is like, I don't know about that, bro. Like there's no crowd for that. Like, yeah, even people that are like, I only date white. They're like, oof, Brigitte. You pull up a picture of Brigitte and then you pull up a picture of Candace and you're like, oof. You're like, that's a tough one. You're like, that's a tough ask. That's a tough ask for Trump. There is no audience for this stuff. There's only a leftover audience of retards who will just make up stuff and defend it. They're like, Brigitte is so hot. She's hotter than Candace. Just stop, dude. Nobody wants this. This doesn't do anything. It doesn't help your war. It doesn't help the midterms. It doesn't help your fans. It doesn't help your family. It certainly doesn't help you. I'm sure Melania was like, what the fuck? Melania's reading this and he's like, Brigitte is far more beautiful. Melania's like, really? Like, how do you go from me to that? That's kind of a downgrade. Who is this for? Why are you doing this to us, dude? Some of us voted for you once, twice. Some people even voted for you 3 times. You're embarrassing us, Trump. Stop. Just hate on Candace Owens in a different way. Like the rest of Twitter. Why do you like that's like, dude, Candace has been under heat from Zionists the past 3 years straight. They've said everything about Candace. They've said she's low IQ. Like they've said everything about Candace. I've never seen a single one be like, oh, you know what, Candace? Brigitte Macron's really hot and you're not. It's like, even like the craziest Zionist has never said that. What is wrong with Trump? He's like the dumbest person out of everyone. He's literally like king retard at this point. Like, what's his problem? Like, even Zionists are like, oof. They're like, that's a tough one. Wait, how am I going to defend this? Yeah, Candace, yeah, Brigitte's like, wait, what? Wait, what did he say? Why did he say that? Wait, no. Come on, Trump. And Trump's like, do you want to come to Mar-a-Lago or not? Okay, we're going to have a really cool Chabad meeting at Mar-a-Lago. And then we're going to have a donor meeting with the Republican Jewish Coalition, okay? And then we're going to have
Marjorie Twainer Brown hating meeting, okay? And then I'm going to talk to Miriam Adelson, okay? And then I'm going to talk to Mark Levin, okay? And Mark Levin's going to put his claw right on my shoulder and say, "You're the first Jewish president, oy vey." And I'm going to be like, "Ooh, that was anti-Semitic, ooh." And then they're going to, ooh.
Who is this for? What are you doing? Where are you going? That's right, he's doing him, but nobody knows right now. And I think that MAGA is over, and it's over. It's literally over.
Lindsey Graham is gonna fix the country.
Oh, maybe it's 5-dimensional chess. Maybe he said Lindsey Graham because he likes graham crackers. And if you dump a graham cracker in frosting, Lindsey Graham likes frosting too, if you know what I mean. And he's a childless like 80-year-old just hanging out at Disney World with a pink wand. Nothing weird there at all. I mean, maybe Trump's trying to secretly weed out the deep state by funding the opposition to everybody who fights the deep state. Or maybe you're losing your mind defending Trump. I don't know. It could be either one, but who knows? It's like I said in my video, if Trump just started like pissing in people's faces, they'd be like, "Ooh, it's secret yellow goo. Well, what is this yellow juice? Is this from the heavens? Is this Artemis? Did Artemis do this to me? Or is this space dust? Am I going to be blessed by the holy Trump?" It's like, wake up, folks. Wake up. And then like the one astronaut who happens to be black was like, "I love God," and then all the Christian pages are like, "Wow, he loves God." That's awesome. That's great. I love that. But it's like, is that all they have to do? And I'm not saying this is what they did. This is parody. NASA, you deserve trillions and billions of dollars to do whatever you're doing. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like you look at the crew and they're just like, all right, make one of them look like she's a barista at Starbucks who voted for Joe Biden. That's for the libtards. Give them like a feminist who looks like she runs a book club in Williamsburg, New York City. Give one of them just like a black dude who looks like he could be a UFC fighter, just a nice dude who believes in the Lord, right? And then there'll be like one white dude who's for the whites who don't want to see like the black dude or whatever, like an old boomer who just wants to see someone who looks like John Wayne or something. You give them the white guy, and then they just gave him a Canadian because I think they wanted Canada to like believe in it too. So like, and a Canadian, and I'm like, what? A Canadian? Get better psyops. This one's not for me, but no, it's totally not a psyop. It's totally real. They totally did it, and it's just really cool to see NASA totally not wasting our money and totally not lying. So, someone said I live way close to Brooklyn. So you already know what I talk about. She definitely probably looks like she runs a book club in Williamsburg. I nailed it. I mean, like that was an underrated joke right there. Like some people didn't even, it went over their heads, but the real ones were like, fuck, that was funny. That was good. So that was for the real ones. I actually I'm not going to say that Brigitte is more attractive than Candace because I don't believe that. But what I will say is I respect almost, I don't want to say respect because that's a tough word, but it seems like the Macrons are less of puppets than Trump. They like stand up to Israel more than Trump does. So it's like Brigitte has bigger than Trump, but I don't want to say that because I don't want to get sued. So I will say she is more bold than Donald Trump. I don't need a lawsuit right now, from the royal French family. Plus, I don't know what's true or not. I've never met Brigitte. Well, there was that one night actually. I was blackout drunk. Oh, wait, never mind. No, I'm just kidding. Someone said Tulsi is a Rockefeller girl. She did the pyramids hand capital. She definitely was CFR. She was in like the World Economic Forum and I think the CFR possibly. But the pyramid thing, that's fake news. She was doing the Mauna Kea sign. Whether people want to think that it's the wrong hand signal for the protest, but there was a big protest on the Mauna Kea mountain, and they wanted to build this massive telescope, even though they just like leave it trashed all the time. and a bunch of Hawaiians wanted to not have that thing built on the mountain of Mauna Kea because it's a sacred mountain to Hawaiians. So she was doing that. That was the symbol. She didn't make that symbol. She threw up the triangle in support of the Mauna Kea protests. Is that a good thing to do, knowing that people are going to falsely frame you for it? Probably not, but that's what that was. As far as the World Economic Forum and CFR stuff, that is what it is. Tulsi is very disappointing to me right now. So clearly she's playing inside baseball, or else she'd probably leave like Joe Kent. So, it is what it is. But we got to be honest. The triangle thing wasn't what people are saying it was. But if you want to believe that, it's fine. I don't care. She has bigger bowls than Trump, like bowls like you put in your cabinet. You could say that. Has anyone seen a very young Trump wearing makeup with a Roy Cohn at a party? Young man? I've never seen that. Is that true? Tulsi is an actor like everyone else. I mean, I would say at this point, how could you say she's not? She's kind of like not doing much, but I don't know what she's doing behind the scenes. So we'll see. I was a little suspicious of Tulsi because she was good on the Syria war and she was super honest and super brave on like the Ukraine war. But I did notice that she was like kind of a standard Zionist in the last 2-3 years. Like she'd go on Fox News and just say like what every other Zionist would say. So I definitely was like, I don't know where she's going with that. But it's like John Fetterman. You like put coins in his back, but and then it was like, I Fetterman. I big boy. I don't wear suit because I retard. I Fetterman. I love Israel. I support the war. I agree with Republicans on the thing that most AIPAC agree with. And everyone's like, wow, John Fetterman's pretty reasonable, huh? It's like, yeah, he's like a Fox News Zionist boomer who like has a few liberal takes, but I always see that I think that they should bomb more. I get more money, more you bomb more. I big oaf. Bomb. I get AIPAC money, bomb. Wow. Did you see John Fetterman on Fox News? Pretty cool, man. Finally, these Democrats are coming. Finally, these Democrats are getting some sense in them. It's only been 60 years of us being fooled on loop since the moon landing, but we just can't go back because we don't have the technology. But seems like the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are really cleaning up. I mean, look at Trump. I mean, he's endorsing Lindsey Graham again and trying to get rid of Thomas Massey and Marjorie Trader Butter. That's pretty cool. Margarine Butter Brown or whatever he calls her. Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, we really can fight the deep state if we just get rid of Thomas Massey. Oh, man, I can't wait till Jesse Waters comes on. Shout out to Jesse Waters. He follows me on Twitter, so his feed is Fire Flame. If you want to have me on the show, Jesse, let me know, bro. If you don't, I understand. I'll probably get us both in trouble, so let's not do that. I'm totally fine with not being on the show. Do you like me? Do you not like me? Who knows? I don't know. But I just noticed he follows me, so could be an undercover real one. He could just want different things in his feed. I'm not really sure. But have I ever listened to Caroline Borshenko's research on the far left? I have not, but I do remember her from Twitter. I haven't seen her stuff in a while, but I do remember her. Did I see Emily Yuchi's latest video? I have not. All right, well, I don't want this to be like 3 hours. Appreciate y'all. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thank y'all for being here, and let me know in the comment section what you think. Obviously, a long video. I said everything that I was thinking. I pray for peace, and I definitely, I would love to see, maybe this is a little too utopian, but I just think it's so silly for countries to still be fighting, like with all the technology we have, with all of the infrastructure we have and resources. Like, if there was ever a time for humanity to just kind of do their own things in their own area, enter commerce, but not fight, it would be now. I know both sides are very stubborn. I know that America's stubborn, Trump is stubborn, Iran is super stubborn, and probably America's more powerful. I think we definitely are, but here's the problem, I think, is like, if China and Russia get involved, then it turns into like a bigger world war. So, yes, we are super, super powerful, but our power also comes, I believe, from our righteousness, from God, from being honest, and not just from being wealthy and having a good military, but from our relationships. If people don't want to trade with America and use the petrodollar, and our European allies don't necessarily respect us like they used to, not saying that they always will for the right or wrong reasons, but our like military power is one thing, and we definitely have it. But as far as worldly power, I don't think any American wants to lose it for our country. But if winning means losing, then it's like nobody wants to win a war that we lose, like a lot of the wars in our lifetime. So, I pray for peace. I pray for the moral and best decision. And I hope that this next like 5 years of my life isn't this like passive aggressive, like insane war that's going on. It's just, there's so much that we could focus on if we focus on our country, our people. And clearly we have a lot of that. So I pray that we can figure this stuff out soon and come to an agreement. And with that being said, once again, to Trump's administration, to the politicians, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to have the same foreign or domestic policy, but the gaslighting and the childishness of like how they're acting and who they're getting mad at, you guys can lie to yourselves all you want. You don't have to agree with the people that you disagree with, but if Trump's whole thing is like getting along with Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, like having the same foreign policy as Lord Rothschild and, the Uniparty, and then getting pissed off at Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massey, you know what I'm saying? Like all these influencers that are not owned by the Israel lobby. If that's like your whole shtick, you guys got to ask yourself at the end of the day, do you actually believe what you're saying? Maybe you do because you're so insulated, but I think people need to really like snap out of it because it's not working. It's not going to win any election. It's not going to make you more popular. It's definitely not getting more people on Trump's side. I'm not really sure what you guys are trying to accomplish because like not only is it not honest and it's not righteous, but it's also just strategically like really stupid. So I'm not even quite sure what they're doing. Maybe they're purposely trying to lose. Maybe it's just like eighth degree ego and hubris, but it would be nice to see one of them kind of like snap out of it, but I don't know. That's on them. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thanks for being here. And yeah, appreciate you. Have a beautiful weekend. I guess it's Monday, so I didn't do that much this weekend, so I don't know why I thought the weekend was coming up, but have a good Monday and yeah, have a good next weekend. Dang, I'm like so much podcasting that I thought it was the weekend and it's Monday. Dude, I'm pulling a Joe Biden here at the end. After a flawless podcast, I just Joe Biden at the end. Disrespectful to my ancestors, but appreciate y'all. Have a good one.